parts, the underbelly.
Oh, that's not very fun. That's where all your
Well,
vital organs
not
sit.
fun for me. Maybe it's fun for him. So. It's
Oh,
always
so the
it's always relative. Yes, it's like, who is it fun
maybe you
for?
should rotate who you even hang around with.
I am a notorious sadist.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were a pagan. Oh, well, same thing, I guess.
But yeah,
how's
we
that going
don't
for you?
like to beat
Wait,
each
you
other
are a
up.
pagan. I remember that.
Wait,
Okay,
Daniel.
okay. Yes.
Remember earlier when I was talking about like it was like obviously not serious, but like the G spot.
Yes, I do remember the G spot.
I don't understand why everyone like they didn't understand. The whole point was that it was kind of leading to gay people, you know.
Well, I mean, you were debating a Catholic, and they usually, are like very serious when it comes to.
But they said I don't know why you were like helping them. Like, dude, there wasn't.
I mean, I was trying to kind of make them understand, because it took a while for them to kind of gauge what you were doing, and it was just kind of like getting annoying. That's all. Because they weren't really understanding like the whole premise and everything, and they were like way too serious, about a subject which wasn't that serious to begin with.
I don't even think it's a bad argument.
Well, it's not the strongest argument, and I don't think necessarily it's like a serious argument about the existence.
Regardless,
I think an
omnipotent. I think an omnipotent designer still could have created.
Yeah, but it's about intent, right? So if you're going back to your argument and you're looking at it, right? Like, let me see if I can find like the second one that you sent. Right, because the second one is like you put like a bit more effort into it, right?
I don't remember it.
Let me see if I can find it. Okay.
Wait, is it
convinced enough by your own argument to remember it?
No, because I understand why, right? It's like I'm not. So I'm gonna put it in the side chat. Okay. This is the one. Right, is the one that you're seeing right now in the side chat, and well, it's still like it's better than the first one you had, right? And according to your premises, the conclusion is kind of that, okay, but it's not necessarily the best argument. Okay, because it's like, look, let's take it one. Right? It's like
it's not to disprove God; it's just to show it's more expected.
No, that is true. If you would know exactly what the properties of God were, right? So you would have to know exactly what the intent was for everything that God did, right? And if you would know that God did a specific thing, and that's exactly what the intent is, and the result is outside of God's intent, then true, yeah, that would.
Look, every refutation was about like, look, when you poop, you have your your prostate gland be activated. But you could poop with your prostate gland being activated, but still not have a temptation to have something sticked up your butt as a gay person because you feel pleasure.
What are we talking about?
Yeah, sorry. It's like it's a bit besides the point of the show. It's about something that happened like previously in another VC.
Sure.
Where because I put it in the side chat, right? In the side chat, you guys could see the argument that he was giving. Let me put it in like a much cleaner format, so everybody can.
I didn't type out premise truthfully.
The syllogism is an abomination, yo.
It is. That's what I said. It's not the best.
What on earth am I reading here? This is.
It's not the best. It's not the best. Yeah, and that's why it's like I said. It's like I understand because this comes from like this internet kind of meme, where it says
I'm
that
not sure we could like we can know like premise one that like as designer he does it only to fulfill essential biological functions. Like we don't know if that's the case,
Oh,
but he only.
Quanta, I remember you. I remember you actually. I remember I saw
don't
you in
think I remember
Socialized,
what-
and you didn't know what logic was. Like you didn't.
But yeah,
I'm
anyway,
sorry,
it's
I
like
don't
that.
remember.
That being said, let's get back on track a bit. So this is actually a show, and it's actually also live. So that it says in the description and everything. But I just wanted everybody to kind of be aware of this.
Mhm.
Okay, this is a live show that is also being streamed at the moment. So
Wave hello to your mother. She's watching this. She just read your syllogism.
Yeah, exactly, right? So do that if you need to. I'm going to also put a bit of advertising on other things. Maybe we'll get some more people. Unfortunately, all the people that we already had in this, they're not here anymore. But it is what it is. We're gonna make it up again. Okay, we're gonna remake all the people that were interested in the show. Oh, it's just YouTube at the moment.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like I'm a huge channel or anything. Okay, just
Yeah,
don't, don't worry yourself about it. You're not gonna have
I get it. I was just curious.
a lot of people. It's just something that we do like every Wednesday for me or Tuesday for Krishan due to the time difference. And every week we have a show where we have like a specific topic, let's say, but it's mainly about religion and God and belief and so on. And today's prompt is "Your gods are imaginary. Change our minds." Very YouTube-like and catchy and whatnot.
There's no tacos to win though. Don't even
no
think about
tacos to win. Yes, we are not same preacher. Dude, it's so hot in my house. I don't know why. Holy moly. Or maybe I'm just hot because I'm ill and these things happen. So who knows?
Yeah, what's up?
But yeah, anyway, that's
just like
about it.
regarding the prompt, the your gods are imaginary. If God or gods existed, do you think it would be possible to know?
Nope.
Why not?
What do you mean by that?
I think it's an unfalsifiable proposition, right? Like, I think there's this huge problem of underdetermination, right? Where it's like, you can try.
So you would say only something that's falsifiable is verifiable?
Well, if you're talking about like empirically verifiable, yes, right? Could we?
So we can only know something's true if it's empirically verifiable.
No, I think that you can. I'm like not super committed to this, but I don't rule out a priori knowledge. So like, if we were able to,
well, I would hope you wouldn't, because we wouldn't have the scientific method if you did that.
Well, I'd completely disagree with that statement.
So can you scientifically prove with empirical evidence that the scientific method?
Why would you need to?
Well, you just said that in order for something to be true, it requires empirical evidence. But then you just said I wouldn't rule out a priori evidence either.
Well, I think I said to be like verified or something, right?
So the scientific method is not verified then?
I'm not sure what that would mean, really.
Well, when I say, I guess I was just using what you said, but in my understanding, when you say not verified, that means that it's not, like, we can't trust it.
No.
Okay, so what do you mean?
That's what it means. Well, look, I think that when we're talking about establishing that God exists, this is something that we're talking about. Like, this is a fact of the world that we're talking about, right? There could be a God, there could not be a God. We talk about God having these certain properties. We can investigate the world and try and find evidence for that, right? Or maybe come up with arguments to try and deduce that or something like that. But what's the other proposition on the table? Like something like the scientific method always produces truth. I don't know any scientist that believes that, right? And it seems to me that that's really only something that's put forward by religious people, right? As kind of like a foil.
That's not necessarily what I'm putting forward, because obviously, like, the scientific method can, like, we have many theories that don't work out, right? But as far as, like you said, a priori and actually constructing theory, it is actually reliable.
Look,
You wouldn't
science
agree
is-
with that, or you would agree with that?
I would not put it in those terms. And
Okay,
like,
so
I,
I
honestly, I
would-
don't think
yeah.
I understand enough to say yes or no to that specifically. But like, science is a methodology to learn about the natural world, right? That's what it is. It's a methodology. It's like asking, like,
Right.
is karate true or is taekwondo true? I mean, neither of these are facts of the world. They don't have a truth value to them. These are just methods you can do, right? A method for self-defense.
Yeah, but that doesn't really
a
make
method
sense,
for
'cause I can-
investigating
I
the
can
natural
give-
world.
I guess that doesn't really make sense, because you're saying that these things aren't truth, but I can give you evidence that shows that they're true. Like, nothing in science is 100% true, which is why I'm trying
That's
to
correct.
that's why I'm trying to kind of understand, though, is that you're saying that, because before you said it requires empirical evidence, but there's empirical evidence for a lot of things that aren't 100% true.
Yeah,
Right,
but that's
well,
why you don't
science
use
does not
truth
in-
in science, though, right?
Right. Science doesn't endeavor to establish things with 100% truth or certainty or indubitability or anything like that. It's just
Well, that's
trying
why
to construct
yeah.
models that have powerful predictive value.
Well, I suppose that's why I'm confused, because you're saying that it needs this certain specific requirement, but then to conduct that certain specific requirement, it doesn't require that.
Yeah, but I think
I'm lost.
it's depending on the claim. So, for example, if you make an empirical claim, you would need empirical evidence, right? And empirical evidence will not tell you this something exists with 100% certainty. It would just like increase the likelihood, right? Like, even if the likelihood is like 99.9%.
For sure, and that was never out of the question.
Yeah, no, but I
My-
think it's important.
Yeah.
Let me tell you why. Because if
Well,
somebody makes
hold
an
on, 'cause my
empirical
original
claim,
question,
yeah,
my
if somebody
original
makes an
question was-
empirical claim, I know, because that's what I'm answering, because I remember the.
I just don't
where
think
it
this is
started from.
relevant.
I'm telling you why.
I understand.
Because-
I'm trying
okay.
to save you some time. But go ahead.
No, just go if you don't think it's going to help. Then go ahead. Tell me why.
Well, my original question was, if God or gods exist, can we establish that it's true? And this gentleman said no. And he said the only way we could establish that something is true is through empirical scientific methods. And my question
Because-
was, okay, if that's true, then is the scientific method itself not
I
actually?
think that's a slight misrepresentation of what I said. I don't think that
Okay.
science endeavors to establish things as true. It's trying to construct predictive models.
Yeah,
Okay, but
usually
that's not
science would be
necessarily-
outside of
like,
this
that's
whole
not what you
thing.
said.
Well,
Because
I mean,
do agree with that,
it kind of is
but-
what he said, because look, so you're saying if a God exists, which God, right? Because like what God you say it exists is very much important, right? Because you could make up a God
Absolutely.
that is unfalsifiable, unverifiable, and it could still exist,
Mhm.
right? Like the
Right, but
deistic
my
God,
overall-
right?
My overall question was if God or gods exist, can, like, just a general understanding, can we understand it, or can we understand God existing? Can we show that God is
Yeah, depending on the
possibly
God,
coexist?
yes. Depending on the
Okay,
God,
so the other
yes.
gentleman's question was no, and that it requires empirical scientific evidence.
Depending on the
So,
God, and I think
look-
that's what he meant.
Well, I
Yeah,
think
I'm
that's
fully
fair,
willing
but
to
that's
say
not what
that
he said.
maybe I-
Unless that, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm fully willing to admit, like, maybe I misspoke earlier, right? That's totally, I am but a man, you know.
Fair enough.
But like, look, here's another thing to say, right? Because I'll say two things to you, right? I don't think that science can establish that God is true. I don't think that science can establish that gravity is like 100% true, right? That's just not what science is trying to do. It's not trying to establish things as the unequivocal, indubitable truth.
Right.
So could science give us strong evidence for gravity? Yes. Can we construct predictive models about gravity? Yes. Let's try and do the same thing for God, right? Let's look for evidence of him. Let's try and construct a predictive model with God in it, and let's see if that model has any predictive power. By the way, hi Eli, you're hot micing constantly.
So you would agree that, like, I don't know if I would say like design is detectable, but more so or less that it is possible to have like evidence for God.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I mean, I think you can like definitely have evidence, but like when you talk about knowing and just like epistemology in general, like there are like many different methods to knowing. So like,
Mhm.
for example, the empirical scientific method, like of course, no, it's impossible then. We can't verify God that way because obviously like he's metaphysical and science really only deals with like the physical. So that
Well, but it
Yeah,
depends
I
on the
mean-
God, right?
Well,
and then
That's
think
why I
it's
said
it
earlier.
depends, yeah, no, it depends. But like, for example, I'm just going to talk about the God of classical theism. So, but then if we're talking about like rational knowledge, like these, like you said, this design argument or maybe the cosmological argument, that's like, okay, it's more or less likely, right? So like in principle, yeah, it is possible that you could know of a God, but it's only probabilistic. And then you have
Well,
like
do you-
personal
yeah. Do you think it's
knowledge.
possible that
yeah,
we can
sorry.
know something? Is it possible that truth is like there is truth that exists objectively?
That was a weird question.
Yeah, that's a
I-
weird question
I
because
probably
truth
would-
is
I
just
think it's-
it's the property of propositions. So there's no
Right.
such a thing as like
That does
truth in the
object-
universe, right? It
I
doesn't
mean,
So you
exist.
don't,
You
you
can't
don't
pick
believe
it
there's
off a
any.
tree.
You don't believe there's any objective truth at all.
I didn't say that. What I said is that
Well,
truth
that was
is
my question.
well. There's no such thing as truth. That you know, I can't pick up like half a gallon of truth. You know what I mean? So
mean,
that's
it's
something
not-
like truth is just a property of propositions, right? So whenever you're saying
sure, like,
something,
Yeah.
that proposition is
Philosophy
either
not like a
true
material
or
thing.
false.
That's kind of what I'm asking. Is there a
So-
definitive truth that exists? Like obviously, there's logical axioms that
No,
prove
about
themselves.
what?
Is that
But
objectively
about
true?
what? What do you mean when you say
Anything.
objective truth? I mean, maybe.
Does objective truth exist at all?
I don't
Yeah,
think
it's like
so,
it's a
personally.
lot of propositions are either true or false. Yes.
So all truth is subjective.
Can you? Well,
I
Johnny,
didn't
can
say
you
subjective.
interrupt-
I don't know where you think subjective
Well,
entered
there's
the
like three
conversation
people
in there.
talking. Somebody said that
Wait, my-
objective truth doesn't. Sina said that objective
No,
truth
my
doesn't
bad.
exist.
Yeah, I mean, if this is your debate, then you guys go ahead.
Sorry,
I
I'm
don't see
not
the, I don't
trying
see
to.
the issue. I don't.
take
What is the
over
issue with
anything.
saying there's no objective truth?
No, there's.
Well,
I mean,
the
I would,
main-
I would be like,
well-
I could explain further.
Well, the
But-
main issue is that if you say there's no objective truth, that statement is objective. So that's the problem.
Wait,
The
what?
statement
why-
isn't.
why- that's
what?
not-
That's just.
It has
false.
to be objective to be true.
He's talking about his
What?
beliefs, though, right? Like when you just say something, there's kind of an implicit
Right.
at the
But I
beginning.
can believe something. I
parentheses,
can believe
I
this guy's
believe, right?
purple. That doesn't
And
mean
if we're-
it's true.
No, of course.
Okay, but-
no.
But okay, I think this happens a lot, right? Like this is kind of a like Jay Dyer kind of loves to do this, and like Jim Bot made by Jim Bot love to do this, where someone will they'll
Right,
ask
but
someone
it's
like, "Are there?"
you see how
Hey,
that-
please,
yeah, go
hang
ahead,
on,
sorry.
please. They'll say like their interlocutor will say something like, or maybe they'll ask their interlocutor, "Are there universal truths?" Right? And they'll say no, and they say, "Aha! But that is a universal truth. So you just defeated yourself in some way, right?" And I think that that's
But
just
you
like
do understand. You
at
do
best,
understand
it's
that.
like a misunderstanding, and at worst, it's like a deceptive word game that they're playing.
So it's like an axiom of truth, right? So it proves itself. So if you're saying that all truth is
Ah.
subjective, then that has to be
Axioms
objectively
It's,
true.
wait, it's
That-
not.
therefore
no,
defeating
no,
itself.
wait, that-
It's a
that's not-
self-defeating
that's
statement.
No, that's not like how it works. I mean,
So
like,
how does it
for
not work?
example, yeah. So, for example, you can hold that there isn't a mind independent truth. That's fine. Like for example, my opinion. Like I'm a nominalist. So like I would say that 2 + 2 is going to be true, but this is only because of like the rules of like our language systems, right? Not because there is like going to be like some Platonic or Aristotelian 2 like floating around just out there, right? I don't really see how this is like self-defeating, and I don't really think this is necessarily like how objectivity and subjectivity work. Like you
Okay,
making a
okay,
claim
so-
doesn't automatically make it objective.
So if I say
If
if
you
I
could
say
explain
all
that.
truth is subjective, is that not an objective claim?
Nope.
It's no, it's a
No.
universal claim, but it's so you have like universal.
so why is it a
I don't
quantifiers and
understand. Like,
universal
what does
claims.
universal claim
Because you're-
even mean? What does that even mean?
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah,
Something that's
Yeah,
universal
so-
is something that applies in all situations.
Okay, so
I
it's
don't
objective.
understand how you could know that.
So it has to be objectively
Well, that-
true.
he's
Oh no,
making
no,
the
no,
claim.
not at all.
No,
So Johnny, here's an
it's
example,
not
right?
about-
Sorry, go ahead, Senna. Go ahead and finish it.
No, it's okay. I was just gonna say, well, first of all, knowledge isn't certainty. Like, you don't really need to know 100% of everything to have knowledge on it. So, and that's fine.
Well, I'm not
And
making
yeah,
that
I guess
claim.
like
But yeah.
no, I'm saying was it Ellie that said, well, you can't know everything, so how is that possible? But I mean that's besides the point. Like you have these
Yeah.
universal claims, and that's just a statement that applies to everything. Sorry, I genuinely don't understand where I'm going.
It-
Lost
so,
my
like, the
train
re-
of
I
thought
don't
now.
understand.
the reason
Wait,
I'm
hang on,
asking-
Johnny,
Sorry.
real quick. Let me,
Yeah.
because I think this will clear
Go
things
ahead.
up. Here's an
Go ahead.
example of why objectivity is different than universality, right? Like if I was to ask you, Johnny, what's better, chocolate or vanilla ice cream, right? The answer you're going to give me, we can agree that that's a subjective opinion, right?
Right.
Now, if we were to ask every single human on Earth what their favorite ice cream was, and they all answered chocolate, is it objectively true that chocolate is the best flavor?
No.
No, yeah,
Right,
but that's not what I'm
We have
asking.
a universal subjective truth, right? We have a subjective opinion about chocolate versus vanilla, and everyone holds the same opinion on that. That would be a universal subjective claim.
Okay, so you're just saying that the
I'm
claim
pointing out
that's
that
Spina
universal and objective are not the same thing.
made. You're saying that Spina made a universal claim, but not a objective claim.
I don't think I don't
Could be.
believe in
I
universals.
don't even know if it was universal. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't really understand then the point.
Well, because you asked if there's an objective truth, and then you went to
So-
this
so-
gotcha of haha, everything's subjective.
Well, I
and
wasn't
then-
trying to make it
I
a
was just
gotcha. Because the
Yeah,
reason I'm
okay.
asking is because to establish if if we can find out if God truly exists, we have to establish if we can find out if truth exists. So my point is saying, do you think objective truth exists? If you say no, well, the problem is that it defeats itself, because if everything is subjective, that claim in itself, that sentence that you just said, it has to be objectively true. So at least one
you-
objective truth exists.
Wait,
I
what?
have a question.
I
Could you
don't understand
please
this.
explain to
Can
me?
you
I
explain
think this
that?
is just
Yeah,
word
I don't
salad. I don't know why you're
understand.
trying to confuse.
Hang on, I have an
Okay,
important
well,
question,
what's-
right? Because
what's
like
the- what's
you
the
keep using these
confusion?
words. You keep using. Here's the confusion. All right, you keep using the term objective truth. Can you explain to
Yes.
me what truth is, and then what objective truth is, and how they're different?
So I'm not claiming that they're different. So either truth exists or it doesn't exist, right?
Okay, so if
I
I
don't
tell you
know.
this
Can you explain
sentence
to
is
me what you
five, if
think
I
truth
say
is?
this
This-
sentence is 5 words,
Well, I
would
can
that
pull
be
up the
5 words
definition of truth,
regardless
but
of-
like
Wait.
regardless, yeah.
I'm just curious about how you're using it and what your idea of truth is, because people have different ideas about what truth is and what the nature of it is.
So I'm not going to sit here and say that like everything empirically can, like there are things that can be 100% verified. But what I am saying is that certain things like logical axioms, things that affirm themselves like logically, like they are true, or like say mathematics
Wait,
is a
what?
true
How is
con-
logic true? Logic isn't a proposition.
Logic is.
Have you heard of a
A
logical
little-
axiom?
It's
Logic
not
isn't
true.
a proposition though. It
A
has
little-
no truth value.
if we could-
I don't know where
if we
you're
could just
getting
try
that.
Okay,
to
guys,
downshift the
this
gear
is a show.
get a little
Let's
bit
not
less
just
over
like
talking. Yeah.
yeah. Let's stop all talking
But,
at the
but
same
they said
time.
something that was fallacious. I don't know why.
No,
you're
that's
making
fine.
it-
That's
They
fine.
are
That's why we're
completely-
here. Okay.
Yeah, feel
We're
free to
connected.
let them finish what they're saying and then point out how you think it's fallacious, but it doesn't help to do it in the middle of a sentence. So go ahead, Johnny.
So is there any scenario where 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4?
Yes, if you're not
Nope.
doing like mathematics in base 10, then yeah.
Oh my god.
There's other bases
Sure, yeah,
in
if
which
you're
it
not
wouldn't
doing-
be 4 because
Right, but
4
would
would
that
not
person-
exist in
would-
that.
Right.
Also,
so
it's
say
like
I'm not
if
doing mathematics.
no,
right?
I'm
Say not
explaining
doing-
right now. So the thing is, it's
Okay.
like what you mean by math is like it's not as easy as it might seem at first, right? Like math has certain rules that we made up, and these rules kind of map onto reality, and they kind of
So
they're
there's
really
no real life
helpful.
correlation with mathematics.
They're really help. I didn't say that. I literally said the
You just
opposite.
said that mathematics is something we made up, but that's a crazy.
Yeah,
claim.
and then I continued saying that it maps onto reality and is really helpful because it actually tells us a lot about reality without actually having to experience reality, right? So it's like if you listen until the
Okay.
end, you're gonna understand exactly what I'm saying, okay? Because then you would say I said the opposite of what I'm actually saying. So math has
Yeah,
certain
so why are
rules.
you-
That's why I could literally demonstrate to you right now that 2 + 2 equals 2 equals 0, right? I could make that. I could make math that could make like random
and you would be
results
objectively
because I
wrong.
would
Yeah.
I would literally use
Objectively
the
wrong.
rules of the just a second, Haley.
Oh my
I would literally use the rules of mathematics to actually get to that
Mm-hmm.
conclusion, right? And you'd have a really fucking hard time telling me that's not the case. So the thing
Mm. So
is,
if I
like
have 2 apples in my
mathematics,
hand and I
mathematics
grab
is
2
not
more,
actual
Is
mathematics.
there ever a scenario when it's going to be 3?
Johnny, I did not interrupt you. Please do the same with me, because otherwise we cannot
Okay,
have
sorry.
a good conversation.
I apologize. Go
So
ahead.
mathematics is not reality. Mathematics maps really well onto reality and is really helpful. That being said, when you're saying objective truths, I don't know what that is, right? Because either something is objective, which means is mind independent, okay, or something is subjective and is mind dependent. Mathematics, for example, you cannot have it without a mind. Okay, like minds need to be present in order for math to actually happen, because math is a set of rules that minds do, right? So with no minds, there will be no math, right? And you cannot even ask things about like, is 2 + 2 objective without any minds, right? Because there has to be minds.
Let's go with that
to do
then.
it.
Okay, let's say nobody's present, and let's say there's 2 apples sitting on the ground, and 2 more fall out of the tree. Is there ever a scenario where that's going to be 3 apples?
Who's counting
Did you not
them?
hear him?
Who's counting them?
It's
If
an
there's
objective
nobody,
truth. Either there's
if
4
nobody
apples or
is
there's-
there, that's what I'm
there-
telling you. Because in math, in order for you to
Nope.
claim there's 4 apples, somebody has to count the apples. If
So
there's
so you're
nobody to
saying
count the
basically
apples,
there's
no,
no-
I'm asking you.
Yeah.
If there's nobody to count the apples, how can you do math?
Yeah, but
How
that's
can
like
you
saying,
do
that's
addition?
like saying if there's, hey, you're cutting me off, dude. So that's like saying if somebody says the sky is not blue, even if everybody says that, that means that there is no objectivity for the sky being blue. It just
isn't
is what
blue.
everybody says it is.
The sky isn't
Okay,
blue, it's just reflecting
Right, and it
light.
doesn't matter what everybody says. Objectively, the sky is blue. That's
It's
my
not,
point.
It's wrong.
Okay,
Okay, we're just gonna go.
how is it wrong?
Yeah,
The
it's
sky is blue.
reflecting
Okay,
light.
ignore that other guy.
It's
Ignore that.
reflecting light.
We can.
It's not actually blue.
Okay,
Congratulations,
Kylie,
man.
please.
You're not adding to this conversation.
You're not
with this
helping.
objection, right?
Okay.
But I think maybe at this point, Johnny, because like we've been pretty generous when like trying to explain our thoughts, and like you're asking like really good, interesting questions about like the ontology of logic and mathematics and stuff like that, and falsifiability and verification. Like these are all like legitimately interesting topics, right? But I'm curious if you could tie this into the topic of today, right? About God being imaginary.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to like take it off topic or derail it, so I apologize.
No problem.
if that's yeah.
Not at all.
My point is that my original question was if God or gods exist, could we even know it? And to fully answer that question, we would have to know first if truth it does exist, if there is objective truth. And objective, I mean that it's not just everybody else's opinion. Like objectively, even if everybody on the face of the planet didn't exist, these things are still true, right? So that's my point. Is like, can truth be known?
Look, I don't think that Daniel and I either of us are solipsists. I think we both think that there is an external world, right? So maybe the question should be like, is God part of the external world?
So, by the way, I'm going to go back on this thing. So because I still don't really understand what you mean by objective truth, right? Like some things are true and some things are not true. Objective or subjective doesn't really enter the equation because it's all about propositions. So it's like, if there's objective facts, because I think you're kind of equating objective truth with objective facts of reality, then yeah, obviously there's objective facts of reality. Like for example, gravity, if there was nobody around, gravity would still do gravity and there'd still be stars and planets and black holes and so on, right? The sky would still be blue because that's just like the length wave of the light that is bouncing in the atmosphere through all the particles that compose the atmosphere and so on, right? But those are not objective truths. They're just objective facts of reality. Truth is, to put objective or subjective in front of it is kind of useless, and it doesn't do anybody anything.
I would recognize that, like, say, a modern scientific quote unquote fact or truth is not 100% like known. It's
Facts
our
and
best
truth are not the
inference to the
same.
best conclusion. Yeah, but
that's why I said you're
question,
equating between them.
I'm not necessarily though, because what I'm trying to give examples of is like logical axioms. So like statements that basically reaffirm themselves. I'm trying to think of one, but like the law.
It's the laws of logic. Yes, it's the laws of logic.
Yeah, like
that's how they're called.
Right.
Yes.
But because they are they are self-affirming, which is what an axiom is. You would say that that's still not 100% true.
But again, it's like even earlier we were talking about this specific thing, right? Because you're saying it's not 100% true. Yeah, cool. I could never, and nobody could ever prove anything with 100% certainty, not even to yourself. Like the only thing is 100% sure for everybody is that you exist, right? Like your existence, the fact that you exist is the only thing that you know with 100% certainty because it's about the experience. You're experiencing existence. Everything else is not 100%.
Yeah. I guess I'm just that's interesting because it's it's interesting that you would recognize like self-existence before you would recognize a logical axiom as 100% true. Because most people would give me pushback on self-existence, because some people would say you can't even know that you exist or that this is reality.
No, but I think that's the only thing you can know, because that's an
Okay, I think
experience.
that's fair.
That's not a proposition. So when Descartes say I think therefore I am, that wasn't a proposition that he was putting forward. He was just explaining the
yeah.
things that you're experiencing yourself, right? So that's not
This
an
is just-
argument or anything.
No, I'm not trying to make an argument. It's one step in the process to making an argument, because my point is that if we can't even establish that truth is knowable and exists, then there's no way to establish if we can know if God or gods exist.
Well,
Yeah, but
look,
again, it's like even the laws
I-
of logic can follow after, right? It's like you experience your existence, and then you can say, well, it's like I am who I am. I can't be something that I'm not, right? So that's like the first law of logic, law of identity, right? You're literally deriving it. You can derive it from your own existence, right? Because what would it mean for you to be something that you're not? How
But
would
my
it
point
mean
is
for
that
you to
you
not
say-
be you?
Well, my point is that say nobody on the planet of the earth, like no human race was alive, like nobody was here, those logical axioms would still apply. They would still be 100% truth, even if nobody knew them. It's not limited to our cognition. That's what I'm trying to say.
I did not understand
mean-
what you tried to say there.
So you're saying that I think therefore I am. The only reason we know, and forgive me if I'm wrong about this, but you're saying the only reason we absolutely know that is because we can cognitively identify that.
Yeah,
but
we
my
experience it.
Yeah, same thing with the Apple example, is that if you completely remove every factor of human or mind consciousness, then you're still going to have axioms of logic. You're still going to have mathematics that still.
Oh yeah,
apply
I get
to
it
real
now.
world.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what happens is like, okay, so we can start from I think therefore I am, and I think it's very easy to get from I think therefore I am to the three laws of logic. And again, it's like
But
even
my-
there, it's
my
like it
point-
doesn't have
yeah.
to be with like 100% certainty or not. And once you get there, and you're saying, you know what, it's like I'm experiencing existence, and I'm also experiencing other things around me, and I'm experiencing other things that seem to be other thinking agents like myself. And again, it's an inference, right? It's like I'm talking with people, I interact with people, and I'm saying, oh yeah, they're also like thinking agents like I am, right? It's like, and if you're not a solipsist, if you're not just like going to say, I can't believe anything unless I'm 100% sure, then you're going to understand that, yeah, external reality does exist, and it existed before I existed, and it will exist long after I'm not existing anymore. Okay, and
Okay.
once you're doing that,
Yeah.
then you can say, cool, before there were any thinking agents, right, there were still energy and particles and atoms and so on.
Right. So you would agree then
and
that truth,
I do want to.
truth can't be knowable. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I just want to point out that like this whole like you're the one who's putting forward this like Cartesian epistemology of like doubting everything and like saying that we need to know things with certainty and like 100% and everything. And like I think we're just kind of looking for any evidence of God, right? Like, look, like I don't know with 100% certainty that my father is my father, right? But like I have a lot of there's a lot of evidence that leads me to think that, to like reasonably conclude that he is my father, right? So I would be totally
Yeah.
fine with that kind of evidence for God. Like as long as you can kind of start getting us there, then and like maybe like once we start saying that like, oh well, that evidence isn't good enough and this doesn't meet that, then this discussion might be more relevant. But like I feel like we're throwing the baby with the out with the bathwater here when we're just
Well,
trying to
so-
talk about like, well, can we know anything with 100% certainty? I think you're the only one who's asking for that.
We can move out of this. We can move out of this discussion. My point in doing this is not to come bearing the conclusion just for it to be shot down because I didn't establish the fact that truth could be knowable. That's kind of like my whole point, is I'm laying the foundation to try and make my point. Because like, okay, I'll just say it straight up front. Like, obviously, I believe in a theistic God. I believe it's very knowable and that there is evidence for a theistic God. But
Right.
if I don't lay the foundation for that, you could easily just shoot down any kind of argument I have and be like, well, truth is not knowable. So it's like one of those things where I like to establish first, can we know truth and can we know God or gods exist? And I would say the answer
It
to
depends
both of
on the
those things
claim,
is
right?
yes.
So, if, for example, if you believe in a God that is doesn't make any claims, so if you're gonna say, for example, oh, my God just created the universe and then he just skedaddled, and I just believe that he exists, I can't really give you any evidence towards his existence, then it's of no use to me, right? Because I could just also make like claims. Like anybody can make claims about anything, right? That are unfalsifiable. But if you're going to believe in a specific God that makes specific claims, then we can investigate those claims and see, okay, does this God actually stand up to scrutiny when we're looking at those specific claims? And if he doesn't, then we can just ignore it. So, what God do you believe in? Hey, Johnny? Oh, he's muted. Johnny, just let us know if you're coming back or if you want to continue the conversation. That was a bit interesting.
I was wondering if it was going to go kind of down like a transcendental argument route, or like the ideas like everything being like there being a necessary mind or something. Like that's kind of where I was feeling like this was headed, but I'm kind of curious. He also mentioned like a designer, right? I'd be curious to talk about the design inference.
Just ask him what would separate it from being a coarsely tuned world to a finely tuned world. It's no really good answer.
I mean, we had like a few shows ago. We had like a really big discussion about the arguments that people usually put forth when it comes to the existence of God, and we were utterly unimpressed by most of the arguments for the existence of a God. I don't even remember what was the first. Like, what was on the top? I think it was the banana
I know
argument.
it was on the top. It was the banana argument.
The banana argument for the existence of God, which is by far the best argument for the existence of God. And I pity the fool that doesn't know this argument. Anyway, I was a bit disappointed. I was looking forward to discuss it more with Johnny, but yeah.
I hope he comes
You
back.
just,
I got the feeling it was like an internet thing or something. Because I don't think he's running or rage quitting or anything.
No, because he muted
I thought he'll be
himself
back.
first, and then now he just left. So that was,
Ooh.
yeah. I was really curious to see what God he believes in. I mean, I would assume he's probably the Christian God, if you ask me. But who knows? Anyway, anybody else here that wants to prove us wrong on the existence of God?
Oh my
Are
God,
gods
I
imaginary
have
or not?
I have a precept I have a
Presuppositional.
presupposition presupposition. Sorry, I have a slight lisp. So here's my idea. If
Okay.
we have the absolute truths and they exist without a necessary mind to articulate them, then there has to be a necessary thing that begins for the absolute truths to exist to begin with, which would be God.
What do you mean by absolute truths? Can you give me an example
And
of
exist.
an absolute truth?
I think, for example, if we have math, which is the subjective language that is used to articulate the absolute truths that we know about the universe, but they exist without
sorry.
these symbols.
I will
Yeah.
have to interrupt you just a second, because I asked you
Yeah.
what is
That was a little bit of a word
absolute
salad.
truth, and then while you're trying to describe to me what absolute truth is, you're actually using the term absolute truth in your definition
Oh,
or
okay.
description.
The absolute truth would be
God.
You mean like logic?
it would be like something that is articulated.
Something that reflects reality accurately. Like,
Well, not like a realist, like sort of like an objective truth, I guess. Like it's external of.
Okay, so
Like,
we're going the
any
same
absolute-
route.
Independent.
Yeah,
we
just
don't have any
guys,
evidence
guys.
of that,
Not
though.
everybody at the same time, please. Just one at a time. So I don't know how to call you because you have like an interesting name, but I don't know, like Rhombus. I will call you Rhombus
Star.
because
We'll
it's
call
kind of
it
like a
Star.
Rhombus.
What?
I don't know. I'm sorry. It's like I'm not trying to be a dick, or it's like I don't know how to call you, but
I thought Star would have been better.
What?
yeah, Star. Let's say Star.
Oh,
Because your name, I can't really read your name because it's just like a shape. Okay, so
I'm sorry.
no, it's fine. It's fine. It's like I'm just gonna call you Star, right? Because it's easier that way. So Star. The thing with absolute truth or like objective truth is exactly what we were talking about with the previous gentleman. There's no such thing as an objective truth. Truths are just properties of propositions. So, for example, if I say I like chocolate, right, and I do like chocolate, that's something that's true, right? It's a truth, but that's a subjective thing. It's still something that's true, though. If I say gravity exists, right, it's again another proposition. That's also something that's true, right? But it's based on a objective fact, right? So in the first case, that was a truth that was based on a subjective fact. In the second case, it was a truth that is based on an objective fact. Okay? That doesn't make the truth objective or subjective. It's just the fact that it talks about, right? Can be subjective or objective, right? That's why when
Okay.
you're saying
What about-
absolute truth, there's no such thing as absolute truth. I don't know what that is. That is a term that is meaningless to me or anybody.
Well, let me just ask her, what would an
Okay.
absolute truth look like? Like, what's an example of an absolute truth?
So the
Maybe
one
like
that I
laws of
went off of the
nature?
most is the idea that if you were to chase someone with a knife, that they're gonna run regardless of conscious thought, right?
No.
Because they don't want to die.
No, there's people that are
see what she's
suicidal.
saying. I see what she's saying. Without all the extra, like, what about someone who wants to die, blah, blah, blah. But sure, go ahead.
Yeah, so
Well,
this is
So-
the thing. There's
I'm
no
gonna
such thing as
fundamentally
like
disagree with this
absolute
still,
truth. Yeah, that's not something that's even universal necessarily, right? Like some people are going to run,
Why not?
some people are going to fight, some people are going to freeze, right? So like the natural reactions of mammals, for example, in face of danger, is not just fight or flight. It's fight, flight, or freeze, right? So some people will just be in shock and they will just sit still. Some people will just turn and fight, and some people will run. So, like even in your
Well,
example,
typically-
there's
I
there's
my
no
general-
absolute
Flight.
there.
My
So,
general
hold on.
idea of
Freezing
this is that they
flight.
have a
Right.
reaction to it.
Right.
Like they have some reaction that's they either want to preserve themselves in a sense.
If I could just clarify, Daniel, freezing is flight. Freezing is not a third option. Freezing is a part of flight.
Okay, I'm talking
You
about
actually
like what
transport
the
it.
outcomes
Sorry.
are, right? So it's like when you're freezing, you're not fleeing. Well, I understand that you might be fleeing in your head. It's like, but physically, you're not fleeing anywhere. Physically,
Yeah,
you're in
yeah.
the same spot. So it's about like how like the presentation of what you're doing, right? That's important.
Maybe a better example, Star, would be like the laws of nature, like the laws of thermodynamics or something that seems to be consistent.
Like gravity, for example. Do you think gravity is an absolute truth?
Mhm.
Okay, what do you mean that is an absolute truth? Do you think that gravity will always be the same?
Not always the same, but to an extent, there are masses that act upon each other.
Well, that's maybe true for now. So the reality is that we don't know if gravity can actually start to behave differently in the future, right? It's like we don't have any reason to believe it's not going to be so, but we also
have-
don't have
we have,
evidence or supporting evidence to say that's an absolute
the fact
truth.
the fact that gravity has been consistent for a million years isn't evidence that will continue to stay that way forever. Correct?
Exactly.
No, because everything has mass. Like if you have the particles
For now.
and the electrons and those things, right?
For
No,
now.
what you're arguing for is the way in which we currently understand reality. And what we're saying is that in the way in which we currently understand reality might not be so accurate a billion years into the future.
Do you know
Maybe
what
tomorrow.
creates
Like,
mass?
We can't
Star.
account. We can't account.
Do
for
you
that.
know what creates mass? Why
No.
do things have mass? Well, like
Oh,
most mass, yeah.
Is empty
No, go on.
space.
No,
Empty
no.
space.
No.
Isn't it like during the Big Bang when they had like the fabric of space and we
Most
have
of mass
some
is empty space.
No, no. The
atoms
reason
attracted to each
the reason things have
in
mass.
clusters?
No, the reason things have mass is due to the strong nuclear force, right?
That's
For
true
the
too.
most part, and the other one is like the Higgs field, right? Which is kind of like
Higgs boson. Yeah.
Oh,
the
yes.
other one, right? So it's like those are the reasons why things have mass. So if the strong
do you
nuclear
know
force, for
what the-
example,
sorry.
will stop being a
Well, this is
thing.
theoretical too. This is
Yeah,
theoretical.
let's
remember.
say it can, right? It's like, again, it's not any possibility, right? Even logically, if the strong nuclear force stops acting like this instant, everything will just like poof disappear, right? Like every atom will just like literally disintegrate, right? And there's gonna be 0 atoms, 0 mass in the universe, like 0 in the entire universe. So we have no way of knowing if that is going to happen in the future or not. No way of knowing.
We're
And-
assuming, even scientists are making the assumption technically that tomorrow the sun will rise, right? Like it's something that we're just used to and we expect, and it's been consistent for as long as it has been. So, I mean, even though a well-vetted scientist is engaging in, I mean, yeah, I expect the sun to rise tomorrow, but we don't have any reason to actually suggest the sun will rise tomorrow other than it rose yesterday and every day before.
Yeah, and the thing
Well,
is, like, when you say that's
isn't
not
that
the
why we
case, it is the fact that we don't have 100% certainty of that. Well, obviously, it's like the level of confidence that we have in this thing continuing to happen is like 99.99999% based on
So
all
you're
the
saying, like,
evidence that we have.
we're only trusting that the laws of physics work as they do. Like if we have the deterministic like predictions
What's
that the
giving you
sun will
trust
rise,
it won't
No.
change? What's giving you trust that it won't change?
that it won't change.
Yeah.
Well, if it's
what's
something
giving you
supernatural,
that feeling
because-
that it won't change?
I have trust that they won't change either, right? But it's just that your argument here is hinging on this idea that, like, you know, uncontroversially, everyone agrees that there are these things called absolute truths, right? And it seems like there's a lot of confusion as to what an absolute truth is, well, like how we would establish that. So I think that that's, you know, just like a big problem with the argument so far, right?
Is love an
Not
absolute truth?
really.
No.
No.
What?
I think it's, I mean, I'm still very unclear as to what an absolute truth is,
Yeah.
right? Like, if
right.
you ask me
That's why we asked
like,
for what an
if Matt-
example
hey,
is,
Black Hat,
and you gave
please,
us.
please.
yeah.
Hang on, please, man. In the most sensitive. And for what it's worth, you know, this is Daniel's and I
Sorry,
show, so
moderator.
it's kind of like primarily for us to debate people. Happy to have people like chime in and stuff, right? But like the primary debaters are going to be Daniel and I, right? And then whoever the
Gotcha.
whatever
Sure.
theist intellectual wants to go.
Can I actually answer
Well,
you?
not in the middle of my
about-
sentence though, please. Right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you know,
Say
I'll
anything.
agree with you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I'll agree
Sorry.
that, like, if we say, like, you know, is it true that mass attracts mass, right? Gravity. Yeah, I think that's true, right? And then you ask me, is it absolutely true? I'm very unclear as to what you're actually asking there in the second question that you weren't asking in the first question. You clear that up?
So can we go off of like a Google definition, or is it like literally no way of knowing?
Yeah, we wanna know
or-
what
or
you mean.
something that's
We want to know what
objectively
you
true.
mean when you say absolute. What is your conceptualization of absolute?
But it's fine if
I
you
actually
want to
don't
use
know.
like a
What
Google
is the way-
definition. Just a second,
Yeah,
please.
totally
Please, like everybody one at a time. So it's like if you want to use the Google definition, that's fine for me. It's like whichever definition you're comfortable with using, that's fine with me. You just need to kind of like, because when you're using words, if we don't understand what your words mean, then it's going to get really hard to actually understand like the whole premise of your argument.
Can I answer Krishan?
And also,
with what an
and also
absolute
maybe a
truth
way
is?
to
God
have a
damn it.
distinction
No.
between,
No, you cannot, please.
and maybe to
This
have
is-
a way
this
to
is-
distinct truth and absolute truth.
Distinct
Right.
truth.
And
No.
this is a question for
You-
Star.
Yeah, let's start.
So she can answer this one.
Say her thing, please. Go ahead, Star.
Distinct. Distinct truth. Would that be like different perceptions of truth? Like it's distinct to other people?
It would be a subjective
but the
truth,
question-
not a
No,
fucking
how do
here-
we?
truth.
How can we distinct
Okay,
between
just to
truth and
be-
absolute truth?
Just to reiterate too what I just said a couple minutes ago, right? You know, we love
Can
everyone
I
being here,
fucking
right?
answer
And
this?
we're
I
No, you cannot,
actually
right?
don't know.
So what the issue here is that this is
Right.
this is a show that
What's the
Daniel and I
point?
are doing, and we're, you know, like I want us to be the primary debaters, right? And the
Just
other
lead us.
debater here is Star. And if you guys have stuff that you want to chime in with every once in a while, that's fine, right? But you should not be like the primary people debating, right? And especially if we're asking a question to Star, we don't really want to hear other people answer, right? It's she's presenting this argument and she can answer it for us, right? So do you want to what you want to clear up what absolute truth is? You gave this other
I
notion
actually
of distinct
don't
truth.
know what it is, but I'd like if you could steel man my argument.
Well, I can't do that because
We
the
can't. We
core
don't know what it
principle
means.
of your argument is about absolute
Oh.
truth, and you're not
Do you
able
know
to
what-
So
articulate.
let's
to us
let's
what
do
you
it
think
this way,
absolute
Star.
truth is.
Let's do it this way, okay? Because I feel like we might get bogged down too much. So let's hear the rest of your argument. We're going to kind of like, you know, put absolute truth to the side for a second, because I want to hear the rest of your argument, and maybe then I will be able to steelman your whole argument once I hear
The
like the whole
existence of
argument.
God. I have another argument that like everything has a cause. Like you can't have an infinite tower
But
without.
wait. Let's
dependence.
talk about this one first, because we can go to the cause after this, okay? But let's stick with this one with the absolute truth, right? So just continue this argument. Finish this argument.
I actually don't know this argument too well.
Okay, cool.
I think she was just fleshing out ideas. Like,
okay.
as
Yeah,
she
that's
was-
fine also.
Can
Okay,
I?
so what
quote
is
chime in?
your other argument in that case, Star?
No, I just think I need to learn more about.
I don't.
I don't
I
like
don't think
to
she has an
force
argument.
myself to understand something I don't
Can I
understand too
quote
fully well.
Hey
chime
guys,
in?
what?
If
Please,
I could just add,
if we're asking a question to Star, we don't want other people to
Holy
answer.
shit.
y'all aren't asking her fair questions because she's making it very clear that she actually doesn't even understand what she was asking about, and she's admitting that.
No,
Yeah,
I
that-
understand. I
Appreciate
just
your
think I need
opinion about our
to-
questions,
No,
but
no,
the
no,
questions for
because
her
you
are for
don't.
her.
You admittedly said you don't even know what absolute truth is, but yet
Oh, yeah,
you're
I
you're
don't.
holding
No,
an
I don't.
argument for absolute
That's why I was
truth,
taking
right?
notes while you guys were talking, so I can look into it later.
So all my point is, Daniel, is that we should guide her in a direction of, if we don't know what absolute truth is and we don't seem to have any understanding of what absolute truth is, then we should probably disregard absolute truth as an idea and speak in more
I mean, I understand why
accurate-
she's
accurate
doing
language.
this thing with absolute truth and stuff. Because if you're listening, for example, to a lot of like Christian influencers and apologists, like this idea of like absolute truth or objective truth keeps coming up, right? Like they're all using these words, and it's like none of them are really good at or ever like describing exactly what it means, because what it hinges on something in everybody that kind of feels like you understand what it is.
Daniel.
Right? You kind of feel like, oh, absolute truth is like, oh, these unchanging things that are always going to be the same in the universe no matter what. So that's what's happening. But when you're trying to look at things closer and you're trying to actually understand what the word means, then you're going to get
okay.
into
I have
real
a question.
trouble, right? Because it's not as clear cut as they kind of want you to feel like it is. Yeah, go ahead.
So could it be like
Daniel,
even as
can
digesting food?
Okay, Star, please do it again. And after Star Official, you're going to be next, okay? So we're not going to forget you.
Okay. So I have a question. This might sound silly. Would it be something as simple as like digesting food? Would that be like an absolute truth?
We don't know what
but
absolute
that's
truth
not a
means
truth
right now.
You
Like
No.
so Star, the question is not what are some examples of absolute truth. The question on the table is, what do we mean by absolute truth? Once we figure out Black Cat, stop.
Sorry. Yeah.
Once we figure out what you mean by absolute truth, we can then start looking around for things to put in the basket that we label absolute truth, right? But if right now we still don't know what we're trying to put in the basket, right? So then, and then like if you just walk up to us with a basket and be like, oh, we have digestion, we have people running at you with knives, and we have 2 + 2 = 4. That's what absolute truth is. Then like, man, this is going to be a hard New York Times crossword puzzle that we're working on here, right?
Exactly. Okay, and I promise, Fish Oil, please go ahead and ask your question now.
Okay, and it's ironic that Krishan brought up 2 + 2 = 4, because I was just about to bring that up. Through debating in VCs, the conclusion that I have reached on what absolute truth is say, of course, it's not subjective. It's not mind. Different minds cannot interpret this differently. 2 + 2 = 4, I think, is a great example. I've heard people debate that 2 + 2 = 4 isn't always true because we put a name on that, so like it can be called different things. I think that argument's retarded because the concept that we're referring to exists, whether you like it or not. Like,
Well, that also depends
two
on the
things.
type of math you're using when you're saying 2 + 2. Because if you're like working in base 3, for example, there's not going to be any 4 in base 3. So, just saying.
You don't
No,
get
I'm
2 +
saying
2 = 4.
if you have
10.
Yeah.
I'm saying if you have one monitor here and one monitor here, and you double them, now you have what I picture is 4 monitors.
Yeah,
Right?
that's in base 10.
objectively true.
Wait, Krishan,
Yeah,
explain to him
yeah.
what you just said. Like, You said blah 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 equals 10 in whatever like system you're using.
That's why I said
this is
names
true.
are not as important as the concept itself that I'm referring to. That's why I said the names that we're calling it isn't really my issue.
I think it definitely matters. Like, for example, when we say
What
that
are
there
we
is an
naming?
absolute truth,
What are we
yeah.
naming?
So when we say that there's like an
We're
absolute
naming
truth,
a concept.
kind of what you were saying, right? So I think it would need to be necessary. So it couldn't have been otherwise, right? It would need to be something universal. So it just has to be true in all possible worlds, in all places, and of course it has to be mind independent. I think like when you say something like 2 + 2 = 4 is necessary or an absolute truth, you're assuming that 2 + 2 could not be otherwise, so it has to kind of equal 4. What else? That it's true in all possible worlds, and that it would be true even if no one else was there to
You're
interpret
talking
it.
about names, not the concept.
But
We're
I thought
putting
that was- is
names
that, like,
on
not
a
the whole thing?
concept that is mind independent, just like you said, and is universal. That's called mathematics. That exists no matter what we call it. That's why I said the issue is not the name, it is the concept. 2 + 2 = 4. If you want to use another form, whatever he said, base 10, that's still objectively true in that system.
so-
Yes, that's still objectively
this
true.
is fine. So 2 + 2 = 4 is just going to be the labels used as subjective, but what they're indexing towards is going to be objective, although you use concepts, which I'm pretty sure are human created abstractions. So if you could like go into more detail about what you mean about that, since
Yes,
I'm very
so I'm
confused.
saying
It's a
that we
concept mind independent.
I'm saying that we conceptualize mathematics and put a name on that. That's why we call 1 1. That's why we call 2 2. We call 5 5. Why? Because we're conceptualizing something that actually exists. Otherwise, I mean, it didn't come out of thin air.
No, we're just making it up.
And then we put a name. Yeah.
Okay,
And
so
then we put
then I
we
will
put a
ask you,
name on it,
fish oil.
right?
Yeah, fish oil. I will
This
ask
isn't-
you if I show you a rock, is that rock absolute truth?
One rock.
No, just the rock itself. Is it absolute truth?
What about it is absolute truth that it exists?
Yeah, it
That
exists.
it's gonna like
And
explode in 5 years?
yeah, no, like the atoms that is being made of, and the particles that is being made of, the energy that they encapsulate, is going to exist forever. Right? Is that an absolute truth?
I have to think about that because.
And what differentiates it
when
from just the truth?
Okay. So the reason I said I have to think about it for a minute is because when I was mentioning mathematics, that is external from the physical reality. Geometry is the physical expression of mathematics, but mathematics itself exists beyond the physical or material.
You're
world.
just saying
So when
shit,
you're-
brother.
So
I don't
okay.
understand.
Anyways,
Okay,
so when you're
let's
talking about
refrain
a
from
rock-
that, guys, please.
Well, let me finish real fast. When you're talking about that rock and you're asking if it's objectively true that it exists.
No.
would
I didn't say if
because
it
of-
exists. I'm saying the rock itself, and let's say the particles it's made of, like all the energy it encapsulates, are those objective truths, right? Because they've existed forever and will probably exist forever, right? So are they just
Well,
objectively
what about it is
true?
objectively true is what I'm asking. What about it is objectively true? Like
I
you
don't know.
can't just
That's
say
why
the
that's what
rock
I'm
is
asking you, because
objectively true.
apparently what you're actually trying to talk about when you're saying objective
literally
truth
confusing
is something
himself with
that's
his own logic.
transcendental. That's what I think you're trying to
confused-
bring out.
You're confused by
that-
your own logic, unironically.
Well, I would say that I would say based on mine and your observation, and I know this isn't what you're asking, but I would say based off mine and your observation that it exists, I would draw the conclusion that it objectively exists. But I also know that the human mind doesn't actually see things; it processes information and tries to reconstruct what it believes it is seeing and feeling. So I can't definitively say it's objectively true that it exists, but I can draw the conclusion that that's probably true.
Yeah, but so this is what I think. I think, and this is I don't know why a lot of people are using this term, because it's so nebulous and it doesn't really say anything about anything. What I think,
the
what I
reason
think you're
we-
actually doing, you're just referring to truths right, of the universe, which refer to facts that are mind independent, right? Like objective facts. Like, for example, when you said, if you say gravity exists, right? That's a proposition, and that proposition refers to a fact of the universe which is mind independent, right? It's like, regardless of what I think about it, gravity is still going to do its shit, right? It's like whether or not I like it, right? So the proposition gravity exists is true regardless of my feelings about it, right? And I think that's what you're referring when you're saying objective truths.
We do not have a framework for gravity. We have a framework for what we believe gravity operates like, but we don't definitively, objectively know that gravity as we know it objectively exists. Right? But we know mathematics does. That's why.
Why?
Yes,
mathematics doesn't exist. It's like mathematics is it's a language
mathematics
that
theoretically can. How do we discover mathematics? Did we create mathematics or did we discover it?
We created it.
Well, it's kind of both. It's kind of both. But this is what I'm telling you.
Pythagoras discovered geometry. He didn't create it.
So
there's no actual way to know.
Okay, one at a time.
Can I ask at this point? Because Fish Oil, you've been talking for a bit. Could you please connect this back to God? Because that is the topic today, right?
Well, that's not what I chimed in here for. You guys wanted to know what
Okay,
ultimate, or you guys wanted
No,
to know
what we wanted to
what's-
do was talk about arguments for God, and someone was presenting an argument for God, and we were talking to them, right? Now we're talking to you.
I just
It
wanted
sounds
to
like you're
talk
not
about
presenting
math.
an argument for God. Right, and
Well,
like, look, this is an interesting conversation, but
Well, Krishan,
Is it-
I'm not arguing anything. You guys wanted to
then
know what an
maybe I'll
ultimate
ask
truth
you
is.
if you could.
You wanted
if
to
you could
know what an
step
ultimate
aside
truth
and
was,
let-
so I offered to explain.
I'm going to ask you, Fish Oil, then. Can you please step aside and let people talk who do want to give an argument for God, right, or evidence for
Yes,
God?
can I
or
have?
talk about why he's not imaginary? No, if you want to talk about that, then you could speak now, right? But if not, then I think that we've like humored you for quite a while now about this. About this
Can I
absolute
have
truth and
5
mathematics stuff.
seconds? Just 5 seconds. That's all I ask.
Sure, go ahead.
The reason I brought up mathematics and the reason that like that whole example is to show that my concept or my idea of what objective or ultimate truth is something that is indisputable, universally true, and doesn't change whether a mind observes it or not, or whether mind even exists.
I think that,
2 + 2 = 4.
I think that.
I thought that for the most part, like, it's fine, but like when you say that math exists independently of us, you already acknowledge that the patterns are just going to be concepts. And I think you're talking about the propositions themselves. You're just like presupposing that there is like this platonic realm that math is kind of waiting for us to like discover it. But obviously, I don't think there's
Yes, because
justification for this
it's
at all. I don't think
universally
it's
agreed that
relevant.
Pythagoras
Wait,
discovered geometry,
You're just
right? We're
presupposing these things.
we
So,
are
if you guys- look,
conceptualizing something
sorry to
that
step in again.
actually exists.
Sorry to step in here again, guys.
Let's
but
go back to
I'm gonna
God.
have
Let's
to,
go back to
Fish
God.
Oil, stop. Yeah, I'm gonna have to insist. If you guys want to have this discussion about whether math is discovered or invented, that's totally great. That's a conversation to have. It's just not this conversation, right? So if we could
I'm
try
pretty
and
sure it
steer
was
things back
discovered.
to God.
Like, or sorry,
That's
math was
great, but if you want to
invented.
have that conversation, it can be done in a different channel. Please and thank you.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Right? But if
It's
we want
all
to
good.
talk about like evidences for God or anything like that, and like, look, if there's no one that has anything to say about that, then I guess it can continue, right? But I just don't want to. If there's anyone that is trying to talk about that, that is what we're here to talk about. And like, look, if someone can tie this into God, right? Like, if someone wants to make that
Yeah, I
argument
mean,
for there
I
like
think-
being a necessary mind or something, like, there's avenues we can go down here. But
I think like the argument would just say something like there are absolute truths like logic and like maths. Absolute truths cannot be contingent. They have to exist necessarily. And then if absolute truths were to exist necessarily, then there must be a necessary being that grounds them. Therefore, a necessary mind exists. And then this necessary mind would be God. But obviously, we can't get past like the premise 1 here because no one knows what an absolute truth is. So it's just like...
And also,
I
there
think it
would
is, like,
also be a
critical flaw
problem
with this
there.
argument, yeah.
Yeah, there would also be a problem there
Yeah, I mean,
because
there's definitely a problem with it.
if you're gonna say the absolute truth, it's also kind of like, it's like an objective truth, right? So it's like absolute, objective, they're kind of interchangeable in this type of thing. So if you're gonna say those things which are objectively true have to be grounded in a mind, you just torpedo your argument, because if they have to be grounded in a mind, they're no longer objective, they're subjective because they're mind dependent. So it doesn't work either way, right? You could still have objective things, objective facts, right? Let's say objective truths that are like don't require a mind, they just exist, and that's it. It's like why would there be a mind needed anywhere in the chain? Because I don't see why.
I don't know. I think I was just trying to steelman Star's original argument. I think saying that there is a necessary mind would make it somewhat better. But I mean, I don't know. I'm not arguing this. So.
I also kind of feel that's where she was kind of headed towards, with this argument. That's why I was like really curious to hear the end of her argument. But we kind of got bogged down a bit too much in some details, at least.
The truths.
Yeah. Anyway, Star is like, if you want, do you want to talk about your other argument, the causation?
It was the infinite towers cannot be explained without a dependent cause and a singular point of beginning.
Okay, so you don't think that an infinite regress is logically possible?
I imagined if you have like an infinite like domino sticks or something, like one always falls because of the previous one, not like an infinite chain of such.
And what would be the logical part of it?
That there has to be a not only dependent clause for each one that falls, but it begins with only one. Like there's a primitive beginning of the entire chain.
No, but this is the thing with the thing with infinite chains is that you don't need like a first, right? And we are very good at understanding infinities, right? Because we all know the series of like real numbers, and it goes from minus infinite to plus infinite, and we can understand the idea of always adding one or subtracting one from the numbers. So there's literally like zero problems, like from a logic perspective, when it comes to infinite chains of causation.
I'm sorry, could you explain that one more time?
So you know, like the series in math, right? The series of real numbers. Let's say you're starting from 0, and from 0 you can get to minus infinity and plus infinity, right? There's no problem in doing that for anybody, right? Because infinity in this case is not a specific number, right? So infinity is not this specific number that we have to get to, right? Like in this case, this infinity is just a set, right? And it's a set that never ends, basically, because you can always either add or subtract some numbers. And it could literally be the same with the universe.
It depends if it's a complete infinite set or incomplete infinite set.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to get to like, that is true. We don't need to get to like the whole concept of like infinities, because that's like a bit too hard right now. But
actually,
again,
I'd like to get into it so I can understand it better.
Get into what?
Yeah, I don't understand. What's the point?
I'd like to learn about this. If we could go into it, that'd be great.
Infinite regression.
Infinite regression. I don't know what exactly is the problem.
Infinity is regression. Explain more on
what does infinity have to do with
infinity is
God
regression.
being real?
Well, I don't know exactly what that has to do with God being real, but I think it's all about the chain of causation, because what she says is like an infinite regress cannot exist. Therefore, there has to be a first cause, and that first cause somehow is God. I mean, that would be like the basic gist of it, right, Star? Yeah. So the problem with this argument, because I know this argument has been proposed many times, is that even if I grant everything, let's say we grant there has to be a first cause. Well, that first cause doesn't have to be a God. It doesn't have to be a mind. It can be something that's not a mind, something that is just needed for that start, and then it just poof disappears. So you still don't need like a mind in there. Do you agree?
I'm writing it down for later. Thank you for this.
Something to add on that, maybe. I think like even if you go down that road, then God still has to be like infinite afterwards, right? So even if you go down this infinite regression, at the end of it, there is like a God. That God always existed, which would be infinite there as well. So
yeah.
Because
this is the problem,
first
right?
cause question is kind of like a weird question, right? It's like it doesn't like. I don't think
the problems are multiple.
Come to conclusion here. It's like
no, the problems are multiple, like with this argument. So as I said, the problem is that the first cause doesn't have to be a God. It doesn't have to be a mind. It doesn't have to be somebody that wants to have a personal relationship with you or anything of the sort. It can just be like a purely mechanistic cause that just even disappears after it starts the universe. Second thing is if you're saying, well, there's like this first cause. What created this first cause? Did this first cause just exist forever? And what does that mean? And you could, if you're gonna say this first cause exists and it existed forever, then the universe could have just existed forever in the same manner, right? So in that case, like you're gonna get back to like the idea that the infinite regress is not a problem, because it isn't.
Yeah, you accept an infinite regress as well, unironically, because you have an uncreated God which has existed forever. It's literally an endless regression. Endless regressions are actually kind of necessitated, and as far as I believe in our understanding of reality, because there's just we have no other way to think about it. There's no other hint. Either it came into existence or it didn't, and we don't have any reason to believe it came into existence because there's a billion different claims of how that happened. But we would all agree that an infinite regression would be accepted on both sides. So it seems to be like a starting ground.
Do you agree with this, Star? Or is there anything that we can explain better? Oh, I guess she's out too. Oh man. What is happening?
To fill the silence was hysterical.
Yeah, it is. Like, what's happening?
I think there was a microwave.
Sorry,
right?
guys, that was my low battery indicator. I need to go charge myself.
That is good to do it in that case.
I want to learn about it. Bye-bye.
Anyway, does anybody else have like an argument? Do you guys agree with our point that your gods are imaginary?
I have one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why does it matter if God is real or not?
What it
Well,
matters
that's
for
an interesting
me.
question. Not exactly an argument, but yeah, go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it matters
It's
because
like
I want to know as many true things as possible, and also I want to know if something is not true. So in this case, especially since a belief in a god is actually can affect my life directly, because religious people are going to influence the politics and therefore my life. Yeah, I want to know if a god exists or not, and I think it's really relevant to talk about it, because if God actually doesn't exist and we can all go towards that, then it will stop making people do some crazy things when it comes to politics and the life of people that don't believe in their gods. What about you, Christian?
I mean, I just think it's interesting, right? I'm gonna be honest. I just think it's interesting. Like, I ultimately am like super unsure if this is gonna actually matter in our day-to-day lives, right? Like, there could be a world where God exists and it does like change what I have to do on a day-to-day life. But I think it's like patently obvious that we're not in that world right now. So it is just kind of an interesting thing that I like to discuss and find out why other people think that they believe in God, right? So I think especially like, in my country, the United States, I'm like the minority here for being an atheist, right? Majority of people do believe in God.
Yeah, don't worry. It's like I'm a minority in my country too. I'm probably a minority in my household, if you ask me. So yeah, we are in the minority, but also I think we have the better arguments to make for why we believe what we believe. So do you believe in God? Again, I can't say your name because I cannot read Arabic. So sorry for that.
No, I'm agnostic. Like I lean a little bit towards atheism, but I feel like it's too early to make these claims because we don't have enough information about the universe. Maybe like in a
yeah.
You can't
200,
expect
500
individuals,
years.
but you can't expect individuals to not have a necessity to come to a conclusion within their own individual life. I agree. I could die, and reality could go on for 1,000 years, and then we have evidence. And if you could have asked me, I would have said, yeah, I would have remained agnostic until we had this evidence, and then I would believe as well.
I mean, the best time to
believe in
actually
God.
believe something exists is the time when you have the evidence that something actually exists. So if it happens, that evidence comes around after I'm gone, cool. Nothing I could do about it.
I'm kind of Daniel. I think I'm okay with the idea of dying as an agnostic, if that means that 2,000 years from now there is no need for an agnostic because we now have the evidence of God.
Yeah, same here. Like I'm okay with that.
Isn't
Not
it
a
better
problem.
to believe, even if something is unlikely, lacks evidence? Isn't it better to believe in something if it's beneficial to you to believe in it, despite it maybe not being true?
Yeah,
So
true, but
basing
I
your
don't
belief
believe.
on evidence alone.
Oh, not everybody at once, guys. Come on. Again, it's our show. So I don't think, according to the evidence
Not
that
if we
we
prioritize
have
truth.
right now, I don't think religion is actually beneficial to humanity at this point in our evolution. I do believe that historically there can be a case made, and I think it's pretty strong, as to how religion actually played a pretty good role in our survival as a species. But I think right now, at this moment in time, I think it's actually becoming pretty detrimental. And that's why I feel like more people should ask themselves these questions and actually try to live more secular lives rather than more religious lives.
Interesting. Like secular or atheistic people, right? They're relatively infertile. So maybe religion gives you like a protective factor that keeps you fertile, keeps you breeding. then
Well,
this
that's
will
not
That's
necessarily
just
the
not true,
case.
by the
Yeah,
way.
that's not the case. And by the way, if you're looking at like reproduction rates,
Well, it is the case. So it is true that they're more fertile,
I haven't
right?
really
They are more
finished.
fertile.
I haven't
No,
really
it's
finished with
not.
my
It's
argument.
absolutely not.
So
Yeah, let Daniel
you're gonna see
It is-
that yes,
it is
like
true.
some. Yeah, but it's like I haven't
Daniel
finished my
finish.
case.
Let Daniel
So
finish.
you can't know, right, until I'm done. You can look at like reproduction rates around, and you can say you can divide them by types of religion or non-religious whatever, right? And you say, well, you see, it's like religious people have more kids. The reality is, though, that religious people don't give birth to religious children, and atheist parents don't give birth to atheist children, right? It's like you become religious or atheist later on in life, right? It's like I was born in a family
That's not
that was
correct.
extremely religious. No, that is correct, because I'm telling you from my own experience. And a lot of people have been born in households like that are
Okay,
extremely
I'll
religious.
explain the
Also,
nuances of it. I'll explain it.
which is again, like I haven't finished yet. Just bear with me for a second, please. Also, you would have to actually demonstrate that is the religiosity of people that is actually making them have more kids necessarily, especially since even when you're looking at like religious groups, the birth rates are declining there too. So there have to be other factors that are influencing why people have kids or not. Now you can
Like
finish
my
now.
biggest objection to this too is
Are you
like
good now? Can I? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So I'll just 2 points. One is, so you're making the assumption that we don't know that it is religiosity. So there's something called a regression analysis, right, where you take out the different factors, and if you do that, such as wealth, education, which decrease fertility, if you do that, so if you educate women, they don't have kids. If you do that, but you still keep religiosity as a factor, it does still provide some sort of like a protection from the corrosion of modern culture on fertility. And you're right, they do still lower due to the other factors, but it is a protective barrier. On top of that, you made the point about it not being like heritable. So you can have kids who are not religious, and you are religious as a parent. That is true, but it seems that there is a genetic religiosity factor. So if you are religious, your kids are more likely to be religious. And so the irreligious genes are being effectively removed from the population. So in the future, people will not only be more religious because those religious genes are the ones which survive, and that's going to create this sort of, if it keeps going in this way, eventually the population will be overwhelmingly religious, and it will flip again to like a situation where I guess the followers, the people who would just choose it based on whether or not it's popular, they will again become religious, and society will become religious. So I think the future is religious, and believing in God is beneficial, at least for the survival of the human race.
Well, I don't think that's necessarily the case. It's like you keep saying it, and it's like you said a lot of things without actually demonstrating how that's the case. And if religion was like this factor that would keep people breeding above replacement rate, then we wouldn't see religious groups, like for example in the United States of America, they're also dropping, like they've dropped below replacement values, right? So that's the case. And if you're looking at other places where like they have like lower religiosity, it's like there's no correlation there to say it's like it's just religion that is keeping the human race reproducing. That is I would say absurd to say that. There's
like
no
this whole idea that like people who don't believe in God aren't going to reproduce.
My language.
I'm really
I don't know why
curious.
you didn't understand that. I don't know why you didn't understand it. I'm just going to repeat it. So there is a protective factor to religiosity. I'm not saying that it means you will always have fertility of 10 kids, right? It's not what I'm saying. I'm saying what it does is people who are religious have a higher reproductive factor. That's what it is, right?
Oh, but that's
All
not
other
the
things
case,
being
because
equal,
you could look.
they will be higher. No,
You
it is
could
the
look at
case. I just
you
told
could look
from
at
the science
countries.
that is the
Yeah, you
case.
just
And you've
told
gone and said,
me.
oh, what about this one example?
You would have to
No,
provide
on
some
average,
evidence.
On average.
Yeah, you don't need to get upset. Like
Oh,
we're
okay.
having a
No
regular
one's
conversation.
going to read fucking papers
No,
no
no,
one's going
but
to read the papers.
what I
right?
what I
So
was
you
trying
can
to
look
tell
it up.
you, what I was trying to tell you is like we could look at other examples of countries and places in the world that experience very low religiosity, right? Like the USSR and like the Eastern Communist Bloc, right? Where like there was a point in time where religious beliefs like dropped like drastically, but if you're looking at the population, it just boomed, right? Why did it do that? Well, it had nothing to do with religion or lack of it. It had everything to do with economic factors, with like social factors, with like a lot of other things that have nothing to do with religion.
Right.
What you're trying to do, you're trying to retrofit religion into these things to make it look like, oh, that's the beneficial fact of religion. The fact that we're gonna keep reproducing because we believe in God. That is just absurd, and it doesn't bear on reality. You saying it so doesn't make it so.
No, it does.
It does? Well,
No,
I
it's-
mean, I
it's
didn't know.
based
Maybe
on
you have like some
science. As I said,
superpowers.
There's something called regression. I don't know why you're insulting me. Like, it's based on scientific research. There's regression analysis on this. You can look it up. I'm not talking from a place of ignorance.
You
And,
can make
I
regression
appreciate the
analysis say
examples
almost
that you're
anything.
bringing.
Yeah.
I appreciate the examples that you're bringing up, but it's even the USSR one doesn't hold, right? State didn't sanction religion. However, the people were still religious. It's to go in there and say, oh, the Russians aren't religious, Polish people aren't religious, Romanians aren't religious. It's absolute nonsense, right? These people are religious and have
That's not
been
what I
religious for
said.
100
Did
years.
you hear
To
what
say
I
that the
said?
state not to say that the state not sanctioning religion.
No. Did you
caused
hear
them
what
to-
I said,
To
though?
have, it disproves the point. It's nonsensical. It's irrelevant, right? It's just deliberately missing the point.
Did you hear what I said, though? Because I understand what you said right now, but did you hear what I actually said?
I don't think you do. I'm going to be honest. I don't think you understand it, and I think that's the issue. Is you?
No, I don't think
just-
you. I don't think
lack
you even heard
the
me saying.
intelligence to understand, like, quite a simple point. Really, you just come with examples. Oh, this doesn't fit my example, therefore it's not true. No, look at the data. Look at the science, mate.
Okay, please
and you'll
provide
see
it. Can you
what
provide
the-
like
what
a
the data
can you
says,
provide
and
a
it
study
disagrees with
about
more
it?
anecdotal evidence. You're not
I
going to
mean-
read it, man. I'm just telling you, innit?
Yeah, we're gonna read it right now,
Dude,
live on stream.
Provide it to us, and then we'll
You're
read
not-
it. Like, don't say he's not going to read it. Come on, man.
You're not going to read it. No one's going to look at a scientific paper.
Well, if you're just going to say we're not going to read it, then I'm just going to say you're not going to provide it, and then maybe it just doesn't exist. How about that?
Yeah, I'm not going to
Right?
provide
This is
it.
not a productive
You
way to
can
have this
Google it.
conversation, man. Well, can you show us which one you're talking about? Like, that would be really helpful.
Just Google it, lad. Just Google it.
Google it is not. It's
Okay,
not an
well,
argument.
God doesn't exist. Just Google it. Just Google it.
Well, I mean, am I saying that, or am I giving you a specific regression analysis on the predictive
You said the
factors
word
that
regression
obviously
analysis, but
are-
you need to provide the analysis so that we can look at it.
You're not going to look at it, so I don't care. I'm just telling you the truth.
Yeah, so
You
why
can-
are we
you
even
have to read
having
it.
conversation in that case?
I
Really
You don't need
appreciate
to provide
that,
any
man. I
evidence.
really
and
appreciate that.
You don't. It's fine. Look,
Well, you
it's
haven't
fine if
provided
you don't want to provide any evidence for your
either.
claims.
So what's
No, he
haven't
did.
provided
He
any
talked about the
reason. We're
statistics from the
equal.
USSR, and you hand waved those away, right? So now let's look at your study.
So I spoke about my statistic, but his statistics are evidenced by him saying it. You know what I mean? Like, do you understand how we did the same thing, and yet you're saying he is in a different position? Mate, you're retarded. You're genuinely retarded. Free Sean, you're a
I'll
fucking
accept that,
retard.
but just
Krishan, is
Okay.
that true, or are you a retard?
Well, like
So that-
I don't know if you know this propaganda slave. I mean, it says right in the channel name, but this is live and it's on YouTube. So I would actually be very thankful if you
embarrassing.
don't say those things on this live show, right? If you have any evidence for your claims, please provide them. We're gonna look at them. We're not going to ignore them. I don't know. It's like what experiences you had in life, but
Or
yeah,
go
we're
away.
not gonna do that. So if you don't want to stay here, it's like you can just leave.
Where
That's
does it
fine.
say that this is being recorded?
It's literally live. It says live.
if you look at
see
the
it? Yeah, in the description of the channel.
It says on the topic. It just says live.
Break it down live.
Yeah, exactly.
and for what it's worth, I am really curious to look at those studies, right? And like, look, here's what I think it's going to be is that like I've heard of studies that show those kinds of things in Western countries, right? Like within the United States, maybe there is some kind of correlation between religiosity and reproduction, right? But I think that like talking about other countries really puts a big hamper into this, right? To say, well, maybe it's not just religion.
No.
Maybe there's a lot of other factors. Personally, I really think it's mostly just due to economic factors. Like I've never spoken to anyone who says, yeah, I'm not going to have children just because, there's no deity that compels me to do so, or there's no like supernatural force that's compelling me to do so. But like I have spoken with people who said, yeah, I'm not ready to start a family right now because I can't afford to do so, right? Because of economic factors that prevent me from wanting to bring a child into the world who you're going to have to pay, what is it, like $500,000 or something by the time that they get through college?
Mm.
Yeah,
It's
I mean, I've heard
economic
people say that they want to have
the
more
affordability,
kids.
right? It's a bit of a misdirection. A lot of people say, oh yeah, if it was more affordable, we'd have more kids. But when they are provided more money, when these examples did exist, the actual increase in childbirth is very minimal. It's obviously less than the buffer that religiosity provides. So it's kind of it's a misdirection. People say it, but if you reveal preference, so their said preference is that, oh, I need more money to have kids. But when you give them money, the reveal preference is that they don't. However, religiosity is the opposite, right?
That sounds fascinating. I'd be curious to look at those studies too,
like
if you could provide those.
I mean, I know a lot of.
And also, I would be really curious. I would be really curious. Just a second. I would be really curious for one thing, because you said, shouldn't we believe in something, even if it's not true, just because it's helpful? And you just brought up like the fact that religious people seem to have more kids, and let's say they do, right? Let's say they do. Is that the only thing that matters for like people? It's like just for us to have like more kids? Do you think like the human race is at risk of becoming extinct? Because I can also look at religious people and I can see that when it comes to climate change denial, it's mostly religious people that are like oblivious to the facts to the point of irony, right? They're just not looking at the facts. And if there's something that's more putting the human race at risk more, it's climate change. Like literally the thing that could be our downfall is the one thing that most religious people don't believe in because of religious reasons. What would you say to that?
Yeah,
Why would a Christian not accept? I don't think it's a religious. I think it's a political standpoint that most conservatives are Christian. That most conservatives reject global warming. It's not a religious. Like there's no grounds for that. That because of them being Christian, they reject global warming.
Well, there's a lot of people who will say that, like, well, it's not so important what happens to the Earth in the long run, because ultimately what matters is the eternal afterlife, right? Exactly. Like eventually, like there's a lot of Christians who think that the Earth is like ultimately. They might even think that it's like very imminent that the Earth is going to be destroyed and like Armageddon and the rapture will happen. That's definitely true for a lot of like evangelicals.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like that's why evangelicals don't build like beautiful churches, because they just believe that Christ is coming soon. That's one of the reasons for it.
I mean, he's been coming soon.
And
for like
some of them want to like bring about the rapture. They want to cause the apocalypse. They want to cause the rapture. So that's that's
like by Jewish wars. Yeah, that's
but this is the thing that I'm saying, and I think it's really important. Just a second. It's like the thing that I'm saying is that when it comes to listening to science, if you're religious, you're less likely to listen to science, right? Whether it comes to climate change or anything else. So isn't that more detrimental to the human race than just like the fact that for now it seems that we're not having as many kids in certain parts of the world as somebody would want to? Because I don't think that's putting the human race at risk. We're still like 8 billion, and by 2030 there's going to be 9 billion of us. So we're still growing as a species. So how is that
we're all
going
to be low IQ religious retards.
Okay, it's like I already asked to not say that again. It's like I don't know why you keep doing it.
Okay. I can't help myself. I'm sorry. I'm retarded.
Can you answer my question?
The other thing that like really puts a huge hamper in this to me is like, and like I guess it's less so if we're talking about religiosity, like because we're talking about God here, right? And I'm curious if it's like people think that it's like believing in God specifically that's going to compel people to have children, and then like how do those people account for China, like this most populous place on the country or on the planet where they don't believe in God, right? And like for a long time, they had to have a one-child policy that prevented them from having too many kids, right? Regardless of their disbelief in God.
Like I think it's true that Christians, I mean, they have like we are called to be fruitful and to multiply and et cetera, to have a family. That's the general traditional Christian family. But I wouldn't say that's just because they're Christian. That's why they want to have kids. Because I know a lot of cultural Christians who have the same morals and they just don't practice as much. And they don't have kids until they're like 30. So I wouldn't say it's just because of Christianity that's the cause of people having more kids.
I mean, it's like,
Because
again, it's
that's
like
the point that you bring up in China.
I can look at my country and I can look at how our society kind of evolved. And, you know, back in my grandparents' days, like everything was like more rural, right? Like people were living more in the countryside than in the cities. So you would see families with like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 children.
Wait, would you say before 8 and after 5?
Yeah. Okay. I'm not gonna do that with you, okay? I have a certain
6,
age.
7?
I need to grow up, okay?
7.
7.
Also, my
Okay,
kids
yeah.
are just pestering me with that, so I would rather not say it myself.
Oh, you have kids? Wait, how many kids do you have?
Yes, I have 2 kids.
Congrats,
Yeah.
bro.
So, but you see, it's like those families were like really big. So my mother's family, for example, she had 6 brothers and sisters, right? There were 7 kids. Okay? But as soon as people started to not be in the countryside as much and people moved towards the cities, it's a lot harder to have like 6 kids, 5 kids even, right? Like even 4 kids in the city is a lot, right? Because maybe you don't have the same space to raise that many children, right? So that's a factor. The fact that we are moving towards the cities more and more, that's a factor as to why we're not having as many kids as people used to in the past. Because there's no space. You know, I have 2 kids, and I realize if I were to have like another kid, that would put like a lot of strain on like a lot of things, right? So you're kind of even if you can afford it, you're making a mental calculation. You're saying, wait a second, maybe that's not good for me. I need to stop it a bit.
Or my other children.
Yeah. So it's like when people say socioeconomic factors, there's a lot of things that go into this, right? And just to like simplify it and say, well, it's just people believing in God that does this is silly. You're just hand waving like reality.
That it's really common in very large families, especially of like more than 6 or 7 kids.
6, 7.
It's just an unfortunate reality that you're going to end up neglecting some of those children in some form or fashion. Like,
that is also true.
The reason why people had children as much as they did wasn't because they wanted to love their children as individuals and cater to them as individuals and raise them. It was necessitated for survival.
Yeah.
And the fact that we are now having children for more of like we're bored than a state of survival, it's a totally different mechanism that we're engaging with in the reproduction level.
Also, let's not forget that in the past, like even if you are like rich, even if you're like the elite that afforded everything, you could have like 6 kids and they could all just be dead by the age of 12, all of them. So like in the past, people you kind of have to have like a lot of kids. You'd have to like pop up kids, like, you know, nonstop, because you don't know which one of those kids are going to survive to adulthood, right? There's like this threshold that you need to get past where you would survive to like, you know, 50, 60, 70 years old. But a lot of kids would just die like very, very young. A lot of them. And that was true up until pretty recently, right? After like the invention of penicillin and stuff. Because in the past, you have like one infection, you're dead. One childhood disease, you're dead. Like there were so many things that could kill you. Also, does that mean that God is real? If you just believe in God because you want to have more kids, so you have the population just grow? I don't know. Doesn't look like it.
No, that is an interesting point too. It's like, well, what if we just come up with some kind of ghost or something that compels people to have kids? Like, okay, so should we believe in the ghost of having kids now, or like the unicorns of having kids, or like, it's really unclear why it is exactly like God is the only thing that can compel these people to do that. But I guess, you know, that did stem not from like here's why God isn't imaginary, but here's why. If anything, it's an argument for why God is imaginary, right? But you should still believe in him anyways because of this like pragmatic value that it might have.
It's kind of like Santa Claus in that case. Then you're just just believe in it because it's good. You're gonna feel good if you believe in it. Anyway, anybody else have like an argument for God, or wants to discuss an argument for the existence of God? What do you guys think about our prompt?
I do.
That your gods are imaginary. Go ahead.
You have your own existence.
I think
Like,
I think God has to exist because Call of Duty Modern Warfare exists. The
Okay,
2007
that's not
release.
okay. Let's go back to
That's a
Star.
good
Fire.
argument, actually.
Okay,
It's
Star.
not the cosmological argument; it's the cosmological argument.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, I didn't laugh. I didn't.
I'm
laugh,
sorry.
but
I just finished that game.
Funny.
On veteran.
I'm not gonna lie.
I
That was
like
kind of
was
witty.
doing
Yeah,
a
guys,
bunch
guys,
of shit.
let's
No, but we're gonna keep
let's
things more
listen
on
to
topic.
Star.
Though. Sorry for the joke.
Yeah,
but,
go ahead, Star.
Example. What is your own argument for the existence of God or not?
Okay, so when
you were a
I
little quiet
came
there.
up with this prompt, like your gods are imaginary, change my mind, is I've looked at all the arguments for the existence of God. I've had a lot of people try to provide me with evidence towards the existence of God. And thus far, I remain extremely unconvinced. And the only thing that I could be, convinced of during all the conversations that I've ever had on this topic is that the only place that I can see God existing is in people's minds. Nowhere else. Like everywhere else, he doesn't seem to exist. In people's minds, he does exist. So that's why I'm saying that, gods only exist in the imagination of people. And if you have any evidence or arguments to the
Did they ever come
contrary,
to you with like a logical into something that's abstract? That's in their head like a.
sorry, it's like
I'm kind of
you're
having a hard
breaking
time
up a
hearing
bit.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm saying the way that they speak to you, is it something that is like logically deduced or like something that is abstract than like something that comes to you as like a fairy tale or like some imaginary or delusional entity?
No, I just think
Like something that actually might make sense than something that just comes off as like a fairy tale.
Oh, I'm not saying they're necessarily like fairy tales. Although there could be an argument made towards this. I just think the most people believe in God because they've been told that God exists, and they just went with it. I don't think a lot of people actually did a lot of work to understand the religion they're actually in.
I mean, I'm a Christian. I agree. I would agree with that.
I mean, I probably know the Bible
Christian too, and I
way
would
better
agree with
than
that.
the vast majority of Christians, for example, and I'm an
I'm a
atheist.
Christian. Actually, no, I'm not.
But again, it's like what matters for me is the evidence, right? So it's like, let's say you're proposing a God, and the next thing that I'm going to ask is like, hey, what's your strongest evidence for the existence of that God? And I've done this with so many people, and the only thing that that happened is like people just were unable to provide enough evidence to convince me that God exists in any other place than their own imagination. But I would be happy to hear any arguments and talk about them, as we've done earlier.
What do you mean by enough evidence? Was there at least one thing that might have been probable?
What do you mean by probable?
Like you said, not enough evidence. So was there at least something that struck that came out to you?
I mean, by not enough evidence, I
Like,
just mean like good evidence.
one thing
right?
that was
Have you ever
probable,
held a banana?
but not enough.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's not like I know there's this thing of people saying it's like good evidence or bad evidence. I usually just refer to it as evidence, because if something is not good, then I don't see it as evidence, right? Usually what I want is just like, what is your piece of evidence that God exists? And people have tried to provide with said evidence, right? Whether it's a book or whatever, right? And every time people try to provide the evidence for the existence of God, it just fails, right? Every time I try to analyze it, it just fails. It doesn't point towards a God. And if you're talking about if something is probable, I don't know exactly what you mean by probable. So the things that I'm using usually when it comes to this is possible and plausible, right? Possible is a very low bar. It just means it's not logically impossible. So as long as it doesn't contradict the three laws of logic, it's fine. It is possible, right? Because it doesn't contradict the laws of logic. But that's the low bar. The higher bar is plausibility. Is that actually plausible to exist in the universe? And in order to demonstrate that something is plausible, then you need to have evidence to demonstrate the plausibility of that thing existing. And when it comes to God, I never had anybody actually providing any evidence that would lead me towards thinking that God is plausible.
I'm pretty sure of one thing, that they had the Ark tablet that had
What?
some stories written in it that denoted the Noah's boat story, like 1,000 years before the Bible was even written.
Okay, so you're talking about some piece of evidence.
What exactly
in
is that
case?
evidence of?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're talking about the Dead Sea
And
Noah's
it's like, I don't even know what
the
you're
text
talking
written
about
on it.
necessarily.
It's gonna be the Dead Sea Scrolls.
You said it again, Octave?
Do you know about the Babylon
Sorry, I was-
tablet?
I was-
Or like the Babylonian, I think it's called.
So
The
you're,
Babylonian
just a second.
tablets.
No, I'm
You're talking about the Babylonian
wrong.
tablets. They have nothing to do with Noah.
They call it the Ark tablet. I'm pretty sure. I don't know what the name. It has multiple names.
Okay.
Oh, Hammurabi's Code. I know that one.
No, that's nothing to do with Noah.
I know it, bro.
You say Harambe's code?
Not Harambe's code.
Oh, Hammurabi. Hammurabi, bro.
Fuck.
Hammurabi
I can say this. I
Yeah, I thought she may be talking about the
nothing
Dead Sea
about
Scrolls.
that
because of
thing
that.
happening in. I think she was just like referring to the flood
Harambe is wild.
in general.
Okay, but I'm really curious to how
No,
the Ark
not
tablet
Harambe.
is
Like
actually no. Obviously, it's not Harambe. It's Hammurabi's code. But yeah, it was just a joke. I'm not sure exactly how the Ark
Harambe's
tablet.
code?
How is it obviously not Harambe?
Hammurabi's
Are you saying
code.
that monkeys
The
can't
code of Hammurabi.
stop read?
Hey, we're gonna. Yeah, on God, we're gonna ask you to stop derailing with these jokes, please.
Yes. So
Oh.
Hammurabi's,
Hammurabi's
code,
code.
yeah, the code of Hammurabi is like the first code of laws that we have preserved in history, and it predates like the entirety of the Bible. But again, it's like you're talking about the Ark tablet, right? That was the thing that you
The
are
Ark
talking
tablet.
about. Okay, how does the Ark tablet? How is that evidence that God exists?
Wait, I need to confirm first that this is what I mean. No, it wasn't this. It was something else. It's not this. Are you talking about this black statue? It wasn't this. It was something else. It was like a thing made of clay, and it was like a tiny.
Oh, of course, it's in the British Museum.
No, it's like I think you're correct. I
Who'da
think it's the
thought?
Ark tablet, which is obviously it's a clay tablet because it's from that era. So it's like everybody was writing on
Yeah.
clay tablets.
No, it wasn't the black. It wasn't the black statue. A smaller like
No,
clay
this is-
slab of like things written on it.
Yeah, this is somebody screen recording it and
Is that the Dead Sea Scrolls? I'm confused.
no, it's like 3,700-year-old Babylonian clay tablet.
Yeah,
Detailed
because
technical instructions for constructing a massive
Yeah.
circular ark to survive a great flood.
yeah, because in the Babylonian
Oh, I think that's
mythos, right? In the Babylonian mythos, they also had the flooding narrative, which the Bible kind of inspired itself from, right? So if you're going to read the Epic of Gilgamesh, right, you're going to see the flood narrative coming into the Babylonian, peoples, whatever, right? So it's like
This is a
flood
4,000-year-old
myth.
Babylonian
Yeah, the
clay
flood
tablet.
myth was way before the Bibles, right? The Bible, right? It was way before Genesis and everything, right? And Noah.
Jews existed before Babylon. That's crazy.
So how is that a
Says
evidence
the tablet.
for God existing?
It wasn't way before, but it definitely predates.
If it existed before the Bible was written and it had a story of like one of the books, then there has to be like a sort of puzzle, like a piece that confirms some section of the Bible.
No, but it doesn't confirm the section of the Bible.
No.
Of
If
Genesis?
anything, if
You can-
anything, it stands
You can leave
against
them there,
the
Daniel.
Bible.
Like, so what if it confirms that part of the Bible? That's fine. That doesn't confirm anything about God. There's just
I mean,
she's not- she's
look,
just saying,
I
like,
could
recognizes,
even
like,
go
the
on,
flood or
right?
whatever.
And by the way, Star, I could go on
No, it
and say,
confirms that section of the
let's.
Bible is what I'm saying.
Well, it confirms that people believe that. It doesn't confirm what is written in the section of the Bible. Let's be very clear about it. Because if you're gonna say there was such a thing as a worldwide flood, then we would see it in the geological columns, and we're not seeing it in the geological columns, right? And we know for sure, according to the laws of physics and according to the models that we have, that if you were to have like that global flood that would fill the earth up until the tallest mountains, which is Everest, everything would just be dead on this planet, right? Because the amount of heat that would be that would exist would just like kill everything on this planet, right? We would have like waters
the water
that would be like
pressure would kill
2.7 K
everything,
Celsius and more, right? In temperature, like everything would just be dead. We would not have people. We would not have anything.
The ocean would be boiling.
Yeah. So that's clearly not the case, right? It's like we know by using physics and the things that we know about the reality that a worldwide flood is impossible. We do know, though, that in the Middle East and in the Mediterranean space, there were some floods, some really big floods, right? That were caused by various factors. So we know those local floods actually happened. They were a thing. So when these people were talking about a worldwide flood, they weren't actually talking about a worldwide flood. They were just talking about the flood that happened in their part of the world. So again, Star, it's like how does that do anything to
You act like
prove God?
everywhere in the world gets floods.
No, interestingly, if you look at places in the world that do get floods, most of those ancient civilizations will have some sort of global flood mythos, right? But if you look at like areas where they don't experience floods, you won't find a single flood myth from those areas. Which I think is like pretty compelling reason to say that there probably was no global flood.
Yeah, just like where you have people that experience like volcanoes like regularly, you're gonna have like volcano myths, and if you have people is like that live in places where they have earthquakes a lot, you're gonna have earthquake myths and so on. It's people will just write about things they're experiencing. It's very simple. It's like we don't need to invoke like the supernatural to talk about these things, like at all.
I don't understand this. Like, I don't understand the logic that, I mean, we can even grant that every single event that was said that has happened in the Bible, or at least the Old Testament, right, was correct. That's still not going to prove like any God that exists. It's just at best, it's just going to tell you that the Bible has an accurate recounting of historical events. Like, that's your best case scenario for talking about the flood the way that you did. Right, so like if you prove that there were other civilizations before the Bible, X thousand years before the Bible, whatever, that they also recorded some global flood. At best, all this is gonna say is that the Bible is like accurate or a copycat. That's it. But it's not gonna say anything about God doing it. It's not gonna say anything about God existing. It's just gonna say that there's a global flood. So what? Even if the laws of physics allowed it, right? Like let's ignore like the point that Daniel is making, not because it's a bad one, but because just to move the conversation forward, right? Like even if we say that the laws of physics do allow a global flood to happen, and a global flood did happen, and the Bible accurately recounted it, all of these things being given is in no way, shape, or form proof for anything relating to the godhood of the Bible or the Old Testament.
Would you agree with that, Star?
Wait, he was talking to me? Oh my god, I'm
Yes.
so sorry. I wasn't even listening. I thought you were.
Yeah. No, he was talking.
That's fine.
sorry.
That's fine. I'll say
It's
it
all good.
again. I'll just
I'm
give
so
you the
sorry.
TLDR, right? That's not a problem. The TLDR is saying if the global flood happened, fine, thumbs up. And the Bible predicted it or accurately recounted it, fine, thumbs up. That still doesn't show that the God exists. Or
Wait,
evidence of it, even.
I get
Like,
it.
even
Okay.
if we're using weaker
I
words
think
like
the
evidence,
problem is
it's not
even.
still evidence.
Okay, I think I get it now. Because I was kind of blocked. I think that the problem isn't even like the religions that are written, like Islam, blah blah blah, etc. But isn't it not the absolute God that all the religions like have that idea of to begin with?
I don't see how that's a response to my comment, to be honest.
Like instead of rebuttaling the individual like different religions itself, like rebuking Christianity or rebuking Islamality. I don't know if I can write. Isn't it just not the idea that we all agree that there's absolute God? Like the religions are just the subjective idea of what God is. And it's like the arrow points
Sure,
to like
even if you argue
the
that they
big
all argue
thing of
for
like God.
some omni-God, it's still, there's no evidence for the thing that they all agree to be omni-God, right? I hear your point that there is some commonality between all these three guys, or even if we extend the 3 to a 10, if we include all the other, or 100 if we include all the other religions, right? That's fine. But this is still not evidence for that thing existing. And I think what Daniel is concerned with is that, hey, give me evidence beyond just things in your head.
Do you know, if you're going to read like a lot of religious texts, they all have like these creation myths, and they're going to talk about like the creation of the earth, for example. And funny thing though, there is one religious text that is pretty accurate when it comes to how long ago the earth was formed. And it's not the Bible, it's not the Quran, it's actually the Bhagavad Gita. Did you know that? Because they say the earth was formed like 4.
The what?
Yeah. You know, the Hindu text. Bhagavad Gita.
Is it? I thought it was like 150 million
No.
years, because that's like the...
No, they're actually
what
putting
they
like
call
4. They're
these
off by
cycles
like
that they
200
have.
million years, right? Which is like,
Is there a Muslim
fairly
here?
accurate. It's like from 4.5 to 4.
Are you talking about the
4.3.
kalpas? Are you talking
I
about
don't know.
kalpas, Daniel?
It could be.
No,
I don't know if
because-
it's the Bhagavad Gita. It's one of the Hindu texts.
Because as far as I know, from the Hindu texts, they believe in this thing called a kalpa, which is like the closest thing I can describe it is like a big bounce, like a bouncing universe, right? Like a Big Bang, Big Crunch, Big Bang, Big Crunch, right? And
I
they
mean,
believe
there's
that
a lot
the
of religions that do
period
this.
of
Yeah.
it is 100.
Because they have
that's
cycles.
fine.
Yeah, they have cycles
That's
of
fine.
like things.
My point is to say that their kalpa duration, as far as I read, was about 150 million years, which is nonsense, right? Like if we're looking at actual astrophysics.
But again, like let's say even if it was like 150 million years, that would still be like way closer to the actual date than 6,000
Yeah,
years. So wouldn't that count against the Bible in that case? So if we're gonna look at some points in the Bible that actually point towards, oh my God, that is so great. It's like, how did they know this, right? And that was accurately either predicted or like written about. Shouldn't we look at the parts that actually do the opposite and say, wait a second, this is this is kind of BS, and maybe we shouldn't care about it that much.
I was wrong.
You know,
it was 300.
300. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I posted the thing in the side chat if you want to check it out.
So what do you think, Star? So I was saying, if we're going to look at the Bible, right, and let's say you find these places in the Bible that actually maybe predict some things or like write about things that actually happen, and you're gonna put them in the plus category, right? Like, oh, it's more reliable and more likely to be true because these things are true. Shouldn't we also be looking at the things that it gets wrong and actually write them in the negative category and say, well, this actually makes it less likely to be true?
Oh, I agree with this.
Because, you know, if that's what you're going to do, and if you're going to look at the Bible, there's a lot of things which are not according to reality.
And I'm like kind of half writing and like half listening, so I'm just.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Anyway, let's get back to the topic. So, anybody wants to talk with us about the prompt of tonight, which is your gods are imaginary. Prove us, prove us wrong. Change our minds. Anything you want to do about it. Telling you, Krishan, like the Holy Spirit is not really working at all. He's kind of unemployed recently. I don't know why. He doesn't want to engage.
Maybe he's working
with
overtime
us.
instead.
Maybe in other VCs or something.
Never know.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, maybe. What do you mean he's working overtime? It should be here, like defending itself, right? Or am I wrong about it?
Maybe he's in China convincing billions of people at once.
Well, that's that would be a thing. Not only that, I'm also feeling bad. So imagine, it's like, God damn it. Now I also have to talk now, right? It's like it doesn't matter. It's like I'm sick, I'm ill, but I have to fill in the dead space regardless. So it is a hassle, man. It is a hassle. Like not many religious people here, I would assume. I don't even know. It's like there's so many atheists in this VC. I think we're attracting more atheists than we're attracting religious people, Krishan.
Oh, for sure.
Most likely.
Yeah, it's like we're like an atheist magnet. Oh my God, same preacher. That would be lovely.
You know, not to pat ourselves on the back too hard, but we've been great today.
The clown show.
What do you think about like the Apple argument? Like because apples exist, God exists.
You mean the banana argument? Is the banana argument? It's not the apple argument.
That's an argument.
Yeah, like the best one.
The banana argument.
And by the way, I just looked it up because I wanted to look up. So it's like what is written about in the Bhagavad Gita is that the whole thing, like the earth was created when the night of Brahma started. And the night of Brahma started 4.32 billion years ago. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
Wait, I don't know where it is in the Bible, but doesn't it say the sun was created after the earth was created?
Yeah, of course. It's in Genesis 1.
Wait, so I don't understand. How do people see that? And then
well,
It says the
because
sun
it
was
depends
created
on
after light was created even.
Yes. So first you had light, and then you had the sun, which is again, it's like I wouldn't necessarily see that as being bad necessarily, because look, light technically existed before you had stars. So, you know, you could even say that's a thing, okay, and they got it right somehow. But I feel like, for example, you cannot have plants on Earth.
How could the planet exist? Like, was the planet just like rolling around in space?
Yeah, like light is just photons.
No, what I'm
and
curious
photons
is
exist.
how is
Atoms
there
are
light
made up
without a
of
star?
Atoms are made up of straight
Explain
photons.
to me how
Straight
there's
photons
light
produce
without a
light.
star, please.
Yeah,
Well,
so
if there
just a
was no
second.
stars, there would be pure energy just going around. There'd be more light than stars would even produce.
So in the beginning of
That would be
the Big Bang, you had no stars. Just a second. It's like you had no stars. All you had was particles, right? And those particles interacted with each other, and during those interactions, you're going to have photons that are going to be emitted, right? And there was a point where the universe stopped being opaque, right, and became transparent, and that's when it's like photons actually were emitted, right? And that's why today, if we're looking at the cosmic microwave background, that's what it is. Like the cosmic microwave background is the impression of the first light that existed in the universe. Okay, that's how we get it. So, and that was before the first star was ever formed. Okay, so there was light before the first stars due to particle interaction. That's all.
But he hovered over the waters before he made anything, right? Which is
Well, that is true. Yes, I mean it does say that
completely illogical.
Yeah.
Or it's rather abstract what the
Yeah, because the mythos back then,
they say that.
yeah, just think
Like
about
the-
this, like what the mythos was, right? Like what people in the Middle East were thinking about the cosmology of the world was that the world was flat, was kind of like a seal, and on top of it you have this dome, right? That was like protecting the things that were living on the seal, on the flat earth, and above it and around it you just had water. That's it. That was what they believed in, right? So obviously God was there, right? And from these waters it just made the world, basically.
I like to think that God was, you know, that feeling like we wake up in the middle of the night. It's like, damn, my throat is fucking dry, dude. I need some fucking water. I feel like that's what it was. Like he couldn't see anything.
Maybe.
He was really thirsty for a glass of water.
Maybe, and accidentally just produce some life for no reason.
Yeah.
So maybe we are an accident. Who knows?
Actually, I'd be interested to hear, like, to have somebody who does astrophysics who can tell me, like, whether the planets in a second generation star system, whether the planets would form first or the star would form first. Because I'm not sure.
But I think
Because we know the sun is a second generation star.
Yeah,
the sad part
our
is I'm the
sun
closest
going
person to
around a
knowing this fucking
star.
information on here, but I don't know it. I have no
Planets
idea.
would probably form first because like it's just a bunch of shit gets together. Although you consider like the first planets to be mini stars because they would just
Like,
be like, the
intuitively, I
same
would
thing.
think
A
the
star
planets
would
would
be
form
just
first.
I would think the
gaseous
star
shit.
is the one that's formed
But I'm not
first. I think the star should be the one. Again, I don't know it
I
for
think a
sure,
mix
so I
of the
might
two
be
would
just
form.
bullshit.
Like it'd be like mini stars.
Yeah, just to be
It'd be like
specific,
mini
Daniel,
stars
I'm
you
talking
consider
about
planet or star.
like not stars and
probably.
planets in general, but a second generation star and a planet that comes out of the explosion of the first.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to
You know,
think.
I
I
mean,
mean,
we know
look.
our system is
okay,
quite
yeah, that's
old.
different.
Yeah, because I'm
That's
thinking
different.
if you have a first generation star, right? So let's say you have a first generation star, is going to.
Yeah,
There's
first
still.
generation
Let's
is
say
easy.
you still
Why are
have
we
your
speculating? We
accretion
can
disk.
fucking look it up.
Well,
Just look
what would
it
move
up.
the
Why are we
quickest?
speculating?
That's kind of obvious. It'd be
Just look
star.
it up.
It'd be obvious
Look it
because the
up.
stars
Look it
move
up.
because gas
Look
moves
it
way
up.
quicker.
Okay,
Shut
wait,
up.
chill,
Chill,
Look it up.
chill, please. Let them talk. Let them talk if they want to, man.
Gas
Chill.
moves way
Well,
quicker.
why are we speculating when we have the
Stars
answer
move way
available?
quicker.
Let them
getting
talk if
together.
they want to. Let them talk, man.
Oh, I
That's
wish we
theory,
could know.
That's like saying
Well,
look
we
up
have the
if God
internet.
is real. Like what the fuck? Like why don't you look up if God is real, dude? Guys, look up if God is real. Look it up.
No,
Look it up.
I
look
did.
up
It
right
said no.
now. What?
ChatGPT
No,
said
to
yes.
be fair, the
forms
question
first?
I'm
You
asking
fucking
is perfectly
retard.
Googleable. I'm
Okay,
just
Black
curious.
Cat.
Yeah,
I
because there were
already
scientists
asked
back
somebody
then
to
that
not
got
do this.
fucking.
Let's
Yeah.
keep it one at a time, okay? This is not like your regular VC, please. So coming back to the question,
So we're
Chester,
just
we
gonna
could
argue over things that
probably.
we have facts on. I don't
No,
understand.
I didn't say we're arguing. We're just like having a
Just gonna cry
conversation
about people
because
arguing.
there's, we unfortunately don't have that many
Nobody here is arguing, man.
believers, able to defend that their God is not imaginary. So we can talk about other things, and sometimes it's just fun to have the conversation, not necessarily be super mega correct about it, right? So when it comes, as I was saying, Chester, before I was interrupted, if obviously if you're talking about first generation stars, I think you still need some kind of accretion disk of sorts, or
No,
not. No, you wouldn't.
first-
You wouldn't.
first
Actually,
I'm
you
with you.
don't.
First
No, you
I'm with
don't.
you.
You don't.
But
Do you have stars in the first one? You don't have stars in the first one.
What do you mean
Planets.
first one?
Sorry, planets. In first generation
No,
stars,
you can.
do you have
No,
planets?
You can. That's fine. I think you can, absolutely.
only gas planets, right? So it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you'd have
yeah, of
something like
course,
Jupiter
of
or
course.
something, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But
you wouldn't
only
have like rocks.
yeah, it's just like not rocky planets. Yes. No, you're right. You're right. So you could have like you have the accretion disk, and the star is formed, and after that, whatever's left is going to form like a planet, like a gaseous planet on the outskirts, and then you have like the supernovas, and everything just explodes, and bada bing, bada boom. Yeah, I think it's still the star first. I don't think because
that's when you get
you
the
would
heavy
still
elements.
have an accretion disk, and then you'd have everything to kind of coalesce together. But the star would be the first one, and that would be like the thing that everything is kind of like, gravitating around, right? So it's like you have to have the star first, and then you have everything else just kind of like forming. And I think it
don't
takes
see
like
why
a bit
the,
more.
Why the have is there? Like you say, you have to have the star first. I don't see why the have
Yeah, maybe I'm
part there. I mean,
misspeaking.
it can be intuitive in one direction or the other.
Yeah, I mean,
but
could be wrong.
I don't necessarily know. I can look it up, but I'm too lazy.
Yeah, same. It's like I'm also like a bit sick, so I
Uh,
don't care about doing that right now. I'd rather just spitball it, It kind of feels
because
intuitive,
that
though,
would be
right?
like a defense of the theist paradigm, at least like insofar as this argument, right? Like it would be saying, well, if big if, but if we can show that for a second generation star / planet, the planets do form first, then the Bible would be tracking, right? At
Yeah,
least
but
when it
that's
says
not
the Earth was
even.
formed
Yeah, no,
first
because I
before the
would
sun.
agree with that. But I think like the biggest thing is the fact that in the Bible it says that plants were formed before there was the sun. So you would have plants
That's nonsense.
that they should
If
live
that's
by
true,
doing
I don't know about the
photosynthesis, right? But you have no sun to give them light, so there wouldn't be plants without the sun. And I think that's the thing that kind of
Would we
like doesn't make
consider-
sense.
Okay, question for the biology nerds, because I think there might be like plants underwater. I'm gonna be like full on fucking apologist here, but like there could be like plants underwater that don't need photosynthesis, but like they grow off of like the shit that they leach off of the rocks. or stuff like
Nope.
Really?
Like anything that needs photosynthesis has to have access to light.
No, I
that's the
agree
whole thing.
with you. No,
No.
I
You
agree that
you have things. Okay, but somebody's like hot
we
micing.
agree that if photosynthesis equal light. Hot micing, yeah.
Yeah, hot micing. So you do have
But just to
some
understand, like, where my
plants.
point
They
is,
do
Daniel.
chemosynthesis. Yes.
Yes. So like my point is, like we agreed, photo equal light, obviously, right? Somebody's taking a piss, bro. What the fuck,
Dude? What the fuck? Why?
If there's
Yeah,
light,
that was,
if there's
that was
photosynthesis,
weird.
there has to be light. Yeah, I agree. But I think there
Yeah.
could be stuff that's underwater. That's like, yeah, as you said, like you would know more than this, more about this than me. But it could be, right? It could be like the photosynthesis is like a evolved trait that later came to be. But the first ones were just leeching off of like sulfur or some shit next to vents underwater. I don't know.
No, there definitely are. So the thing is like there's life forms that live like near volcanic vents below the ocean, which they don't do photosynthesis. So also like it depends
they're
also
not
if you
animals,
think
are they? Like they're plant matter.
no, some are plants, some are
Look like
animals.
worms.
Also, it depends whether or not you believe like fungi, for example, are plants or not, right? Because fungi are kind of like
I'll
a
leave that up to
weird
the biology.
thing. Yeah, they're a weird
Right.
thing. They're not really plants, but obviously they're not animals. But they're kind of like very, very different. But yes, there are plants that don't have chlorophyll, right? Because like that's what helps with the photosynthesis. So what they do is just chemosynthesis, which is probably the first thing that existed on the planet, not photosynthesis. That was a later evolution.
I mean, I don't think we have to go far into like the Bible to show that it has like some nonsense statements. I mean, the easiest one I can just say is like, well, the Earth was created in like I don't know how many days or whatever, right? Like, I mean, we know that this wasn't the case. I mean, we know that the world isn't 6,000 years old, or the Earth was created in like 3 days or some shit. So, and then the apologists would just tell you, well, it's metaphorical. But the moment you start entering this metaphorical world of anything goes, well, then anything goes, and you can't really hold the Bible to anything it says, because they can always do the cope of saying, well, I didn't actually mean it. I was pretending to be stupid, but in reality, I'm 200 IQ. It's just dumb.
Yep. I'm sure, like, if I'm misunderstanding the whole argument there, but like, shouldn't it be by definition
200 IQ.
like there can't be a planet without a star, right? Like, because like the definition of a planet that is that it revolves around a star. So
Oh, there are rogue planets
no
in the
star,
universe.
no planet. Kind of thing, right? Like,
There are rogue planets in the universe. There's planets that were
yeah,
ejected
but
from
like
their
they
solar
they
system.
formed around the star, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but like they formed still like around the star. Like it's like no star, no planet, right?
Yeah, no, but true. But
Like, by
one of the
definition,
things, you know,
planet
that is
has
true.
to
That
be
is true.
some
But for
star.
example, you could have
Yeah,
like,
but
let's
the
say
Bible-
you have a new
Bible
system
didn't
that
use
is being
planets.
formed. No, just a second. Imagine you have a new system that is being formed, right? And while it's being formed, where when you don't have the sun formed yet, right? It's like in the proto-sun period. You have like a stray planet kind of coming into the system and staying there, right? Being captured by the gravity that exists at the center of the system. So you technically, it's like you have a planet there that is fully formed, and it's there, right? Like before the sun was formed. So technically, you
Well,
could have it.
I think by definition it would be a dual star system, right? And then one of the stars that would like later be a planet would like cool down and form into a planet later. Like it would have
Yeah.
started out with like a dual star system.
Maybe. I mean, most of them are, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. You know, maybe we could research it, but yeah, I don't really care to do that right now. Still interesting thing
Yeah,
to
and
think
for the other
about.
one, the like chlorophyll, like photosynthesis stuff. Yeah, like pretty sure like chlorophyll, like photosynthesis came after the first cells, right? Like cells evolved
Oh,
into
for sure.
making use of chlorophyll, like getting the energy. So yeah. I think like based on like our understanding of like abiogenesis, it is just like the heat of the fluid around it, right? That like provided the energy.
Yeah, because one of the things that is important to understand, so it's like, what is photosynthesis? Photosynthesis is just the plant takes carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and breaks it down, right, into carbon and oxygen, and it excretes the oxygen and keeps in the carbon, right? So that's why when you're looking at a tree, right, if you're looking at the sequoia tree, like 99% of the mass of that tree comes from the air, right? Because it comes from carbon dioxide. Like very, very little is coming from the ground or other minerals inside the ground. It's mostly coming from the air because that's what it does. That's how they exist, right? But in the beginning,
That's
it was
why it needs
kind
to
of
get water to the leaves.
Exactly. So it's hard. Like in the
I'm gonna
beginning, it was just
segue-
chemical reactions. So that's why you'd have chemosynthesis, right? Which is like a fancy name for saying, you know, you just use like some form of energy from somewhere else, and you're just doing like chemistry. Like that's it. With the things you're getting from somewhere.
I'm gonna segue off of Daniel's like fun fact time to give you another fun fact that forests are actually not carbon negative; they're carbon neutral. Growing forests are carbon negative, but a static forest is very much carbon neutral. You're welcome. Yeah, it's a mind. Like most people don't expect it. That's why I'm just saying it.
I mean, most of the oxygen that we're breathing doesn't come from forests. That's for sure.
It's like plankton or something.
Yeah, it comes from
algae.
Yeah, it's,
Algae.
yeah. No, not
Algae.
algae. Not algae. No. No, it's got from phytoplankton.
Plankton.
Yes,
Plankton,
phytoplankton.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
That
Which is
guy
literally
on
just
the fucking
they're
Krabby
plants, but they're unicellular plants, right? They're like just like one cell that is a plant because it does photosynthesis. That's it, and that's why us,
as far as I
screwing with our oceans is actually putting us at risk because we are literally destroying the thing that makes the oxygen to keep us alive.
Yeah, I was
hey,
going to say,
Daniel.
supposedly they did a study, and if they were to actually remove like the rainforest, like all of it in totality, it would make a marginal difference in our oxygen. Like,
yep,
it's not really that big. Like because the big like anti-destroy the rainforest thing was like not only the diversity of animals, but like this thing it creates a fuckload of oxygen, and it's like that was a really bad argument. Like,
How much percentage does plankton hold in the atmosphere for us to breathe? Oxygen.
Plankton.
it's like
Ah,
70%. It's like it's a lot.
It's like
Very,
70?
very high.
Oh wow.
Very high. Yeah.
Wow, 7. That's crazy.
It could be 60, but it's somewhere around there.
Wow, that's crazy.
Because the oceans are far
just-
larger. The oceans have far more vegetation in them than the crust does.
Just to be like fair, right? Like whether is it carbon or whether it's oxygen, we or like the planet in general is not sensitive to the absolute amount. It's sensitive to the changes in the amount. So even if like the absolute, even like if the rate is let's say 1,000, but you change 1% or like 0.1% of that, this will be very much sensible, or like you would feel it over time. So that's like the reason, for example, why like we have carbon really increasing over time. It's because we're just having this very, very tiny amount that we're changing that is off the balance, and then it just accumulates over time.
It was interesting to me because it kind of makes sense, right? There's like way more ocean than there is land, but it's kind of unintuitive that there's actually more vegetation and plants in the ocean than there is on the surface.
I like how we turned into Bill Nye the Science Guy because there are no theists to challenge this. Unfortunately.
It's not even the trees we have to worry about. It's the fucking oceans. I think Mythbusters or somebody actually did a test. They created like this vacuum chamber thing where someone was hooked up to it on a gas mask, and they were seeing like how many trees would you need inside this chamber for you to be able to just breathe endlessly. And it was
Yeah, it's like a
interesting
ridiculous
because there was a
amount, isn't
very clear threshold in where the plants weren't creating enough oxygen for him to sit there for like 18 hours and huff on it. But I think with
I think
like
I've seen that. It wasn't the Mythbusters, but it was a really good video. I think I did a good job.
yeah.
Of it. And like it ended up needing like a really surprising amount of
It
engineering
was
to get all that
yeah,
shit
it
done.
was a lot of fucking ridiculous amount of trees. Like
You guys, is like every time I'm looking at these movies about people being in space or on other planets and they need to survive and they need to make oxygen, and every time
With
they're just
trees.
like making the plants, and I'm
Yes.
I'm thinking to myself, it's like, why the hell would you do that if you want oxygen? It's like, why would you do plants? Like you could literally just have trays of
true.
like, you know,
what was
the
that movie,
bacteria they're
Daniel, where
producing.
he landed on the planet? It was like, and he literally had one plant that he was trying
Oh,
to take
space
care of or
potatoes.
something.
Yeah, it's that one when he's stuck on Mars. I forgot the name. It's
Yeah,
Matt
the
Damon.
one with that Damon.
Yes,
Yes.
on Mars.
Yeah, it was on Mars, and from like one plant, it was like he was just, dude. It's like you're not gonna do that. Also, it is fun. Like, do you guys know why we have carbon, like coal, in the earth?
God,
It's from radioactive
No.
materials,
Why
okay?
do we have coal?
No, from the
Okay.
global flood, of course.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the global
from God.
flood, right? That's okay. So the reason we have coal is because for like billions of years, so plants inside of them, they have this substance. It's called lignin, and lignin is a very,
What?
very lignin. Yes, not ligma.
Yeah.
It's lignin. Okay, very different substances.
Ligma oil. Ligma oil.
And this one is like nothing ate it, right? Like it was just there, right? So it's like literally when plants were dying, they were just like resting on the floor, and other plants would just grow on top, okay? And they would just be buried. So that's why you have like all this plant matter that just kept getting buried and buried because nothing could consume it once it died. Up until I think it was like less than 1 billion years ago, where there was something on Earth that appeared that could actually consume lignin, and that's fungi.
Aliens.
No, it's fungi. Like fungi actually developed a way to actually break down lignin and actually use it and eat it. And that's why it's like you have today, you know, you see the trees, you know, if they fall, they just rot. Okay, that's something for the majority of time of like history on Earth didn't happen. Rotting trees were not a thing at all.
What's the difference between lignite and other coal? Because I know like lignite is the shittiest type of coal possible.
Oh, I mean, it's like, okay, so no, actually, say it's pretty good. I mean, it depends on how much you
That's,
have.
like the worst quality, as far as I know.
I don't know. I don't remember
Like,
exactly
compared to other
which type
coals?
of coals. I don't know which type of coals were good, but it's yeah. Usually, it's like more than one substance,
But is
right?
there-
Because the lignin, what it did, it kind of encapsulated like other things inside. So it kind of depends on like what other things that the plant life had in it. And I don't know. I don't think lignin is that bad at burning, though. I think it's pretty good at burning. But I might be mistaken. Don't remember exactly. But because I remember lignite is like in. I think it's pretty good actually. I think you got it backwards. But I'm gonna look it up actually.
Going back on Devin.
Yeah, because it's
Any theists in the call that are willing to defend the view that God exists, or
probably not.
So I'm on this like not
God-
necessarily
God
reputable
exists.
side.
oh, actually,
God
I forgot I'm a theist. Whoops. Well, yeah. So I think God exists because all I mean by God is an existing, necessary, bodiless mind that created the universe, and it's in the definition that He exists. So it's analytically true that God
Hey,
exists.
appreciate
Okay.
you barging in like this, right? But I'm honestly not sure that you're trying
Anyone
to honestly
agree or
engage here.
disagree?
By the way
Just
that you're acting
calm
like
down.
this.
Jackass, calm down. Calm down.
He's not
But
even a
is it-
deist. He's just lying. He's a Phil, bro.
Wait. I see
Okay.
I see the room title. Does anyone in this VC have an argument for atheism? Does anyone here have an argument for atheism?
Okay,
Hey,
I'm
appreciate
just
you guys
going
barging
to
in like
You have
this.
to
disconnect
repeat
these
yourself
people.
because you were like so
We're streaming
excited.
right now.
Yeah, so model realist is like we've talked like yesterday or something. I don't want to talk with you guys.
Yeah,
you
you
guys
got
are just
embarrassed. You got
trolling.
fucking embarrassed and smacked around
Nobody was
heavily.
embarrassed. Also, like you're embarrassed right now
Oh.
because I muted you, right? And I can do that by embarrassing you even more. It's like I know what you guys are. You're just feel bros. I
And
don't
mute
care
me,
about it.
asshole.
Yeah, I can. Look,
We're all
there you
at-
go. There you go. You think I can't? I can.
Phil boys.
Yeah, it's like it's just the most annoying thing talking with Phil bros that have nothing to do other than
is.
just bullshitting their way into the world. Yeah. Should I unmute them or should I let them mute it for like a bit? I don't know. Maybe they need like a minute or two to go get.
I feel like if
touch
people
some
go
grass.
in to troll, I think they should be muted in other
Yeah,
channels as well.
I think it's fine for them
For
to
a
stay
while.
muted.
I mean, I don't know. You don't like if you unmute
let them in,
you
let
will
them
just,
embarrass
like,
themselves.
allow them to be annoying to other people. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. It's like if I don't want to be annoyed by them, we shouldn't let other people be annoyed by them either. So it's all good. Yeah, safely. That is true. That is true. CMFP. They need to play in traffic, but safely. Yeah, I don't think Sina is a theist. Who said Sina is a theist? I thought she was an atheist.
Wait, yeah, I am an atheist. I just like made some like bullshit argument. But these refutations aren't good. Like the refutations are like, what the fuck? What the fuck? And it's like, okay. I don't really know what's going on.
Well, today we got some really
Wait,
good
Yeah,
arguments.
your syllogisms are incoherent. So try again.
Wait, it's not incoherent. It's actually logically valid. But what you're
Okay,
saying is what the
let's
fuck, what the
Sina,
fuck? And it's
Sina.
like, okay, buddy.
Present me your syllogism.
Sorry.
I didn't see it in the side chat. Let me analyze it, please. I want to look at your
so,
syllogism.
Wait, I can just get it back up. Yeah. P1 just says that absolute wait, I I've even forgot it. The fuck?
You see, it's like,
Impossibility. Oh
don't even know.
no! Stop! No! No! Wait, I actually need to scroll up to find it. Hold on. I end up making two arguments. Wait, give me a sec.
Just as a quick aside to fill the time, right? That dude did end up dropping a study in the side chat about religiosity and human fertility, right? And here's an interesting part, right? It says the mean TFR from 1970 through 1975 for the most secular countries was 2.8 children, moderate 3.3, and most religious 5.4. The corresponding values for 2000 to 2005 were 1.8, 1.7, and 2.8. So in fact, religious people have been producing, like, if you compare, like, you know, the secular countries to the secular countries over time, and then the religious ones to the religious countries over time, the religious countries have a significantly higher drop in their fertility and the amount of kids that they're having than the secular countries are. Right? So they still do have more, but they are slowing down faster than the secular countries.
But I even mentioned that to him, right? I even mentioned it, like, even in countries, let's say the United States of America, because that was my example, you're going to see that the drop in children that people are having is the same, like, regardless if you're like atheist or like religious. Because yes, atheists on average will have more kids than theists will have more kids than atheists, but the rate of decay is the same. And that means that there's other factors, which is like very, very clear what's happening there. The fact that we are moving away from being in small villages and everybody's kind of clumping up in big towns, that's a big factor. And I think it's something that everybody should explore. Because it's like the lack of space is going to lead you to... Sorry, what did you say?
I was asking, is he still there, the guy who was talking about religiosity and reproduction?
No, I think he left.
I think he left. He was British.
But like, also, like, I think, like, I was there, like, when the discussion happened, but I didn't say anything. But like, I don't understand why people make the argument in general that, like, procrastination in general, like, is like the ideal thing to do with your life, right? Like, I don't understand, like, why fertility rates are like a positive thing that we should strive for, right? I think, like, nowadays at least, like, it's mostly like driven by, I guess, like, you want to compete, like, as a country, right? You need like workforce and stuff. But like, we are not like threatened by like extinction, really, or whatever, like, as humans, right? So there's like not really like a need to have like more and more like people, right? It's like,
yeah, I mean, that's why I made the
I don't
point
understand
that
why we
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, like, I don't understand like we as like humans like strive for that like so much nowadays anymore. It's like, I feel like we're like kind of like a stable animal on this planet, right? Like, I don't know. Like,
no, this is exactly why I made the point that, you know, people are saying, oh, we should be more religious because religious people have more kids. Like, that's a threat to our existence as a species, when in actuality we're not in any type of extinction level period whatsoever, right? It's like we are, by 2030 there's going to be 9 billion of us, so yeah, we're not going extinct anytime soon. But actually something that is more likely to happen is, you know, us suffering from climate change, and that could potentially be something that's an extinction level threat to us as human beings. So we should take that more seriously. And in actuality, if you're looking at it, it's more religious people that don't believe in climate change and actively fight against any measures to stop it than, non-religious people.
Yeah, because Jesus is coming back.
Clearly. I don't know exactly what he's going to do when he comes back.
But
It's gonna kill everyone.
So I don't think like it's an extinction level event, right? It's like a very, very slow progress, right? Like, it's like definitely like something that we need to look out for, that like we need to work on for sure. but like it's not something where like suddenly happen, like humans will like get
No,
extinct.
no,
like
that's why I
global
said
warming.
potentially, right? It's because we don't know all the ramifications of like what climate change can do to us. Because look, if it's rampant, and you could have like things go bad like really fast, and we don't want to be like Venus, for example, where like grain gas effects are just like destroying every form of life on the planet,
That's
us included.
Yeah, but like from like going to that was a long progress, right?
Yeah, but in the meantime, you're gonna have like hundreds of millions of people dying due to the effects of climate change.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And I think that's something we should care about. If you care about the numbers of people on the planet, well, that thing is going to kill more people than the people you would have due to more people having kids or whatever.
I agree. Like I think like I'm following the very like simple principle of like quality over quantity when it comes to human lives, right?
Also, I'm not that I don't really care about like the survival of the human species. I don't think that's something that's good into itself. I care about people that exist. If they exist, I want them to have a good life, and that's it.
Yes.
If
Exactly.
there's more people to
Quality over
exist, well,
quantity.
that would be nice. But I don't see why that's necessarily something that's good. But you will have people like Space Apache constantly talking about how all we should do is have more kids.
Don't
And
say it 2 more times.
Yeah, and the funny thing is like, I have 2 kids, he has 2 kids. Literally, it's like, if you're going to believe the things you're saying, you should have more kids. It's like, why are you having more kids? Why do you have the same amount of kids that I have? It is a bit crazy. Anyway, Sina, did you find your syllogism?
Yeah.
Yeah, just post it in the side chat.
Oh. It was
Oh, you
just
can
like
just say it. It's fine.
yeah, so it was just saying that like P1, it's impossible for like absolute nothingness to exist. Do we agree?
Okay. So absolute nothingness, you mean like philosophical nothingness, right?
Yeah, I mean,
like
just
literally
it adds just no. It's not the same
I
as
understand what
absolute
she's saying.
truth. So like an absolute state of nothingness would be like conceptually
I don't agree.
impossible.
I don't agree.
Yeah, okay, why don't you agree?
Oh, I don't agree. You would have to demonstrate that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, like very simply, to think of nothing would require a mind, and if absolute nothing like truly did exist, then you just wouldn't have concepts, you wouldn't
Why?
have logic, you wouldn't have. Well, what do you mean? Why?
No, but it's like, what are the properties of absolute nothing?
There isn't really a criterion. Like nothing is just gonna be like the wait, I've forgotten the word. What's it called? Wait, the word is freaking gone. The word is gone. The word is gone. Wait.
Nothing.
Like just like
Yeah. Okay.
nothingness
No.
is a
No. 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 No.
concept.
No. Like nothingness is just like I suppose kind of just say it's going to be like the absence of something. So I mean, to ask for what the properties of nothingness like actually
Is
are,
this
I'm
the
kind of
one that
confused at what that
Sid
question's, like, getting at.
Machinery put in the side chat? Was this the one that you were talking about? Is that your syllogism
Yeah,
there?
but that's not. No, like that was old. That was old because my P2 I think was fucked up.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't really understand. What do you mean when you say like what are the properties of nothingness?
Well, I mean, so the thing is, we don't have any nothing to actually.
Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah, but it's like we've never been able to actually look at nothing and see exactly what the properties of nothing are. Right? So maybe
Yeah, but
maybe
that's
the
because nothing is like the absence of everything. So that would mean
Oh
no
yeah,
matter,
that's
no
cool.
energy, no space. Like all
Does
of
it
the
mean you
things
have
that we
no
use.
properties?
Yeah. So, well, nothingness wouldn't have properties. I suppose the only property to nothingness would be the absence of everything, I suppose. If that like works out.
Yeah, but it's like again, it's like I don't know. It's like maybe look, maybe if you have nothing and if you were able to actually study a nothing, we would see that maybe it's unstable. Right? And maybe it's like it's unstable to the point that it creates something from nothing. It's like
Wait,
I
but
don't know.
how would we study nothing?
Again, I'm not saying that we can. I'm saying if we could, right?
Okay.
We're trying to think about it. It's like, but the reality is, it's
Yeah.
like we don't know anything about nothing. We don't know what it means to have an absolute nothing, like like a philosophical nothing. We have no idea what it means. For real, right?
I mean, when you say like we don't know, like are you talking about like empirical knowledge? Are you talking about conceptual knowledge? What do you mean? Because like I agree that like
I mean, mostly
like, you
empirical. I
can't-
mean, we
we
can.
don't have empirical.
Because
Yeah,
when you're
we
saying nothing,
can't
you're
have
referring
empirical.
to
Yeah,
when you're talking about nothing, you're talking about like a very specific thing, right? It's not just the concept, right? It's like the existence of this thing that doesn't have anything in it, right? So it has to be some
Yeah, but
empirical
that's, like-
evidence about it, right? It's like what would it be? And
I
what
mean, I
I'm
think
saying, I'm not
when-
saying you're wrong. What I'm trying to point
No,
out,
yeah, of course.
because I kind of agree with you. I don't think an absolute nothing can exist. But the thing is, I can't really justify it
So
either.
you agree with one?
Right? No. Yeah, I kind of, but I what I'm telling you is like I don't really have a justification
No, I get
for why this is true. Right? I was kind of trying to play a bit of, let's say, devil's advocate, but I would never make the claim. I would never make this claim because I don't have a justification for it. Right? Even if I believe it is true, I don't really have a justification for it because there could be logical possibilities in which you have a nothing, and this nothing somehow, for some reason that we don't know, right? It's like how things work. It's like it's unstable and produces something. Understand? So that's the thing, because we don't know what this nothing is. We don't know how nothing behaves. What the rules are when you have a nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I think this only works if you do take it to be something like empirical, like something that we can observe. But I think I would more so just make the argument that I'm saying is completely conceptual or
Yeah, but
metaphysical.
I
would
don't
argue
really
this
care
has
about
nothing to do with
conceptuals,
empiricism.
right? I don't
But
really care about
that's what my argument
conceptual.
is based off of.
Yeah, but is it
I don't know, I'm not
funny?
saying-
But then,
I'm-
like, that's like, I mean, if you don't care about, like, that's like an opinion, right? But like, I'm like completely with her on that one because I think like if there's like something, right, that spawns out of nothing, then I don't think that was a nothing, because I guess like I think like nothingness purely exists as a concept. So if there's like something spawning or like being created out of nothingness, then I think the description that we gave to that nothingness was just like wrong.
But again, it's like you don't have a
Well, that's what
justification
I would
because you
think
don't know
that-
what the rules are. So it's like if you don't know what the rules are, it's like you won't be able to have the justification. I'm not talking about whether or not it makes more sense that is true, because I do believe it makes way more sense that this is true. What I'm talking about is the justification of you saying that, right? So it's like if you're saying nothing does this, it's like, okay, how do you justify it? It's like what are your points of evidence towards your claim being true?
But like, I don't think.
I mean,
So wait, what
it's-
claim did we make that, or did I make that? That nothingness does. I don't think I made a claim that nothingness is doing anything, right?
I think you made a contentious. I mean, I could say something, right?
Well, I mean,
don't know if that's what-
the P1 was nothingness as an absolute state is impossible.
Yeah,
That
so
is
it
a
just
claim.
means, like conceptually. So yeah, so I'm talking about it just being purely conceptual. I don't really think you need to know the rules of nothing. Like it's just going to be a contradiction, right? Like the concept of absolute nothingness is going to be self-contradictory because it requires you to think about something while claiming that there is nothing there, which is basically just the justification for B1.
No, but look, it's like conceptually, I think conceptually, the only place where absolute nothing exists is conceptually. That's because I can think about something that doesn't exist in reality. Look, we can all think about Darth Vader. Darth Vader doesn't exist in reality. We can all think about him though. And it doesn't exist in reality.
Right.
It has like 0% of the properties of Darth Vader exist in reality.
But that's
right. But we can still
something
think
that-
about it. And
that-
it's the same with nothingness, right? I can conceptualize something that is devoid of everything, right? Like matter,
It is-
energy, quantum fields, whatever. Right? I can conceptualize that.
Yeah, but I'm saying that you're conceiving something like I think there's a difference between, like, for example, unicorns or Darth Vader, like conceiving something that doesn't exist from conceiving absolutely nothing. So what the fuck am I reading? Sorry. So like when we talk about unicorns or Darth Vader, like these are concepts that are possible entities, right? So they have properties. But then obviously when we look at nothing, it doesn't have a property, it doesn't have a structure, it's not within space time. It literally is nothing. But when you imagine a unicorn, you're thinking about something. You wouldn't be thinking about nothing because it's not possible. I don't even know what nothing is.
My name is
It's like
Daniel
to think
Hume,
about nothing.
right? So I would at least have to agree with Hume, at least with Hume, right? As a philosopher, where it's like, because he's also saying the same thing, right? It's like this absolute nothingness, this philosophical nothingness, actually only exists in a conceptual way. I don't think it exists
Yeah.
in a it's only a possibility, not a plausibility, right? When it comes to its existence.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that like nothingness is like gonna be like necessary. I mean, if anything, I suppose I agree, like absolute nothing I would say is like, wait, no, actually I wouldn't agree. Sorry. Wait, so are you simply just saying that absolute nothing is possible and it could exist even if we can't imagine it?
So absolute nothingness, I think it can only, in my opinion, I think it can only exist in our minds as a concept. It's kind of like the concept of infinity, right? It's like we cannot perceive infinity. There's no such thing as perceiving infinity, but we can conceptualize it, right? We can understand infinity as a concept, even though it probably doesn't even exist in reality, but we can conceptualize it. It's the same thing with nothingness. We can think about it. We can describe it, right, with words. But I don't think it can exist in reality.
But I feel like the whole point, yeah, I mean, sure, in like reality, if we're going back to like things in space time or like empiricism, then I agree with you. It doesn't exist insofar as it being conceptually and only existing in the mind. I think I can agree, but like for different reasons. Again, with like infinity, it's a lot more nuanced because obviously there are properties to infinity, or at least relations. But again, with nothing, you don't have properties, or there aren't relations. Like there's literally nothing you can describe or relate to when we're talking about nothing. I mean, I want to say it's brute, but I feel like this is the wrong word. So I feel like a square circle, you could maybe just say that it's like conceptually.
Well, but it's not the
incoherent.
same thing.
Oh,
No,
actually,
but
no,
it's not the same
actually,
thing.
No, that's logically.
Yeah.
Wait, that's logic. Yeah. Okay.
That is
okay,
logically
yeah,
impossible, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. No. Wait. Blunder. Yeah. No. I could just say that. It's conceptually incoherent. Ignore the square circle thing. My freaking bad. But like, yeah.
What do you
infinity
mean
would
by
be
incoherent?
something- Incoherent. It just doesn't make sense. So like, for example, infinity, like there is something endless, but when we refer to nothingness, there is no thing. Like there is like there is nothing that we could point to.
But we literally just said it, right? It's like you're saying it's incoherent, and then you went on and described it.
I think because like she made like a good point. I think like the keyword here is like the relation, right? So, Daniel, what is the difference between nothingness and a vacuum?
Oh, a vacuum has space-time and also has waves, right? So if I go into outer space, and let's say I have like this square meter of something, of a part of space where I just removed every particle, that's not really empty space. You're still gonna have like virtual particles coming in and out of existence. You're still going to have radiation going to that place.
Virtual particles are defined by not anything being there, right?
Just a second. And you're also going to have space-time. So you're going to have like a lot of things. Like space-time in itself, it's something. It's not just nothing.
Okay, so but like virtual particles are like defined by not anything being there, right? Like by like no matter being there.
Oh
So
no!
if you had a vacuum,
they produce pressure. So you're going to have pressure that's being
I'm
produced
gonna
by
step
those
in here for a
particles.
second because that's my area. Just to,
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Sid, just to answer a couple of questions, as in what defines a virtual particle and what defines the vacuum, right? I mean, let's ignore virtual particles for now because they're not necessary to this. I think the vacuum is more important. And what defines a vacuum, like quantum physically, is just going to be that it's the lowest energy state of whatever system you have. So that's it. It's not the absence of everything or anything. It's just the lowest energy state. That's pretty much it, right? And then when it comes to quantum physics, well, you can have lowest energy states that are non-zero. Sometimes they can be zero, but it doesn't have to be. And we know for a fact that our vacuum doesn't have a zero energy state. Like the lowest energy state of the vacuum in real life isn't zero, for a lot of reasons. But yeah, this is.
So, like, I was like going with this was not about like asking what a vacuum is. Like I wanted to reduce this like more and more like from the vacuum. Like if you reduce it more and more, right? Take all the properties away. Like how much do you have to strip away where it becomes nothingness?
Like philosophical
I mean,
nothingness?
you definitely need to take away at least space-time because space-time is a thing.
You would have to
Right.
take away space-time, yeah, for sure. And I feel like if you take away space-time, I don't even know if you can have like a quantum field if you take away space-time, maybe. But if you can, then you
Not
can
that I
take
know
away
of.
the quantum field too. If somehow there is a quantum field without space-time. So yeah, you just I think technically if you just take away space-time, you'd have like a philosophical nothingness. Like honestly.
You can okay. Let me amend the statement. You can still have like a four-dimensional object, just not one with the signature 1 time 3 space.
Yeah.
I mean, quantum mechanically, this does exist. I mean, actually, that's what
I reread
assumed
this a little
people
bit.
think
I
is-
didn't
Yeah.
actually want to go down.
But the
into
reality is,
actually-
look. So what you could do, like conceptually, if you want to think about like the philosophical nothingness, you can just take away everything that could be something in it, right? You can just like think, oh, you can have that, cool. We're just gonna throw it away, right? And that whatever you're gonna be left with, that's the philosophical nothingness.
I mean, I want to genuinely like raise this criticism. I don't know if they're still there. Oh yeah, they are. Like whether or not we can show that something is conceptually possible / impossible says nothing about its existence in the real world.
Yeah.
At best, it just shows an incompleteness of our thought process.
That's why I make very big distinction between possibility and plausibility. Something being possible just means that it's not logically impossible. And a philosophical nothingness is not logically impossible, whether or not you can conceptualize it in your own head. As long as it doesn't contravene the laws of logic, it means you can at least conceptually talk about it.
No, I mean, she's trying to do an argument like in the manner of the laws of logic. She's trying to say that basically, and interrupt me if I'm mischaracterizing you, Senna, but like she's saying that because conceptually it cannot be the case that to conceive of absolute nothing, because it's logically contradictory to conceive of nothing conceptually, means that absolute nothing cannot be the case in absolute or like in reality.
Yeah, I mean, it's just if you have something, yeah, I suppose, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
If you have
and
something that's logically incoherent, it genuinely cannot exist in reality. I don't know how it would, right? So if something does eventually entail contradiction, by definition, it cannot exist. It like yeah, I don't really know like how else to go into that and just say that it's like analytically true, it's trivially true. So I feel
like
like
I mean,
by showing that it's conceptually impossible, then you'd have to also kind of like bite the bullet and say that it also can't
Look,
exist in reality. I don't see how it can
I
be
can take
logically
like
incoherent
multiple
and exist in
directions
space.
towards this, but I'll take the least abrasive one, right? Which is just show that it is a logical contradiction, because your argument for it being a logical contradiction is just saying, well, if you think about it, it's not nothing, right? But that doesn't necessarily follow. I can just use the word nothing as a token for just the absolute nothing about it. I don't have to think about it. I just have to utter the word.
I mean, as I said, it's kind of like talking
feel
about
like-
Darth
I
Vader,
feel like-
right? It's that's it. It's like you can talk about it, doesn't mean it exists in reality. And
Yeah,
it's the same thing with
I think-
nothingness.
I think my original like justification did just this, right? So obviously the initial claim is that absolute nothingness doesn't exist. And then we have our like the observation part of it, right? So to discuss or even conceive or define, I suppose, absolute nothingness, there, like I said, like there has to be a mind, there has to be these concepts, language, there has to be something there, basically.
for us to
that
define
holds
it.
aside. Yeah,
That
so
should
but I'm
be
saying that yeah,
fine,
that's
but
fine.
who says
yeah,
we want to
that's
define
fine.
it?
Well, what do you mean? Who says we want to? I mean, that's kind of what my whole
No,
thing
because
is
like the
hinged upon.
existence or the lack thereof of something is not contingent upon whether or not it's defined by an agent.
Right. I mean, this isn't my whole thing, right? That's just like
Even if it's part of it. The fact that it's a part of it, that's the chink in your armor right there. That's the problem. Right? If you need your idea to like
But
if
it's
you
not
need an
who
object to be conceptualized for it to be existing, right? Then by definition you just talk about subjective things. Then you can't talk about things that are absolute.
I
Even if
don't
it's
really
part of your argument.
understand the point being. Yeah, I don't really understand the point being made here. Are you simply just saying, yeah, like who gets to define nothingness? Like maybe you saying that it's
No, I'm
wrong
not
to have
saying
my
that.
own definition. Okay,
No,
so can
no,
you like
I'm not saying like there's an
because
authority
you,
to
wait,
define nothing.
because my whole argument is working based off of the fact that we are defining it, right? So I think you saying, yeah, but who wants to define it anyway kind of isn't a refutation to my argument. Fine, you don't have to define it, but obviously we're talking about my argument here, in
You're
which we do take
saying-
nothingness to be the absence of something.
You're
but if the whole
saying-
thing is like, you know, who wants to define it anyway? I mean, I don't see the point. It's like arguing
My
with a religious
point
person and
is-
saying, yeah, well, God doesn't exist anyway.
Here's my point.
Like what?
My point is
Yeah,
to
yeah, go
say
for it.
that if your argument is saying that for us to talk about anything, whether nothing or not, we have to
I'm just saying nothing
exist,
specifically.